This administrator, of course, all the supervisors. I
Can
appreciate
you,
it.
Judge Carroll, pardon me for interrupting. Can you move the microphone back over? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me. First, I have to get back to court today. Today's civil traffic hearing Tuesday, so I appreciate all the effort that you put into this wonderful morning. And I wanted to stand and recognize a great friend of Green Valley, Arivaca, Sarita, the entire region. Her name was Gudrun Price. Miss Gudrun, known for her power walks around Green Valley. On Tuesday mornings, I would join the power walk, and so would my dog Bella. We would be out with Gudrun. She walked 8 miles a day. She never had a car. Well, she had a car, but one time she got a traffic ticket and she wanted to give up her driver's license. I said, no, we don't have to do it that way. You might need your car someday. But this is Gudrun, a life well lived, a Green Valley philanthropist who died in her sleep. As it says in the Bible, only the just die in their sleep. She was definitely a sweet woman, my sweetest friend in town. Arivaca donation alone was $16,000 when the human resources refrigeration broke down. And human resources is about getting a job in Arivaca. It's about serving people. Gudrun stepped up and gave $16,500 to replace the refrigeration because the Arivaca people just couldn't come up with that at such a short notice. As I said, she was my sweetest friend in town, but she had a lot of great admirers around. From her generous and loving nature, she'll live in Green Valley's memories forever. An example again, Green Valley, we needed a mediation room. We thought taking the drama out of people's business would be helpful. Putting them in a mediation room, we trained the majority of our workers, and we have a wonderful woman named Patricia who does mediations now in the mediation room. Gudrun gave us $10,000 to fix up that room, and it's a very lovely spot to negotiate and find compromise. So I'd like to name that room after Gudrun. I'll leave the newspaper for you. Whoever doesn't get, it's covered with Green Valley stories. She is and was and always will be an example of Gandhi's call for living simply so that others may simply live. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will submit the paperwork to try to upgrade the name of that mediation room to the Gudrun Price Mediation Center, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, Judge Carroll. And you wanted to take a picture in front of the board? Absolutely.
Green Valley News. A lot of times, Green Valley News, they're not going to give me a free subscription or anything, but they like their newspaper Steve knows that. If you're somewhere and you got a Green Valley News subscription, bring a Green Valley News with you, get your face in the paper. Word of the wise. This is my buddy Skip. Skip's been a big helper with the AA program, the DUI program, and couldn't be here without God, Skip. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Judge Carroll.
Merry Christmas. Thanksgiving came a little early for Pima this year. God bless her memory, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have the next three speakers for call to the public, and I neglected to mention that each speaker, based on the number of cards we have, will have 3 minutes. You can come to the front and wait your turn to speak. Luke Felix Rose, Mandy Carlson, and Glenda Avalos.
Sweet. All right, 3 minutes this time. That's a lot of time to work with. Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Luke Felix Rose. I am not being paid to be here. All views are my own. Before I speak, I would like to address the 4 Democratic members, and I do hate playing party politics, but there is a growing frustration within the legislative districts and party bodies that passed resolutions against Project Blue now see Chair Rex Scott and Dr. Matt Hines voting and acting in favor of tech billionaires. I never expect one to tote the party line, but reiterating this as we see sweeping primaries across the country might be of interest to you. Look nationwide. When you continue on this path, it is political suicide. And when people rise, it is power, and we will mobilize. On October 14th, 2025, I appeared before this board to ask you to listen to the experts in the community and seek community support in regards to Project Blue and the unfortunate financial situation you now find yourselves in with my taxpayer dollars. On October 21st, 2025, I called out the hypocrisy and poor judgment that me and the nearly 30,000 supporters of the No Desert Data Center Coalition have organized against. During that session, I told you to open up a better public forum for the community to voice these concerns, as we felt that our typically 2-minute public comments were restrictive and dismissive on the issue. On November 3rd, 2025, I asked you to deny further corporate influence of this chamber, as we see from the donations from Diamond Ventures, Southwest Gas, TEP, Lazarus and Sylvan, and other corporations who may be staunchly in favor of Project Blue seem to also control you as politicians via your campaign funding. I remind you that regardless, you are each public servants and your constituents feel inadequately served. On December 2nd, 2025, I am here to reaffirm all that. I'm here to ask you to listen to experts, open a better public platform for constituents, and put people power over private dollars. Will you? Thank you for your time.
Sir, Mandy Carlson.
Hello, thank you. As a member of the First Things First Pima North Regional Council, I am here today to share how quality early learning offers one of the highest return on investment and why it is so crucial that local leaders advocate to expand these opportunities across the state. Every $1 invested in early childhood education returns up to $16 in benefits, including stronger graduation rates, higher earnings, and reduced reliance on public services. But as funding continues to decline, Arizona risks losing these long-term gains. In our community, employers struggle to find and keep employees. Reliable childcare and preschool are essential economic infrastructure to support working parents. Without them, parents find it hard to stay in the workforce, and children miss the early learning and development they need for success in school and life. For nearly 2 decades, First Things First has built a foundation for early learning and family support in our community. Yet, its funding, which comes from the state's tobacco tax, is shrinking while demand is growing. This funding, which includes providing over $17 million annually in early childhood education programs in Pima County, is at risk. First Things First annual revenues have decreased by about 47%, more than $77 million a year when compared to the level of funding when First Things First began operations. This significant reduction threatens core early child services, such as parenting programs, health and developmental screenings, and quality child care and education. That's why it's crucial to secure sustainable funding sources. One way to do this is by closing the tobacco tax loophole to include vapor and nicotine products to help fund early childhood programs and services. These products didn't exist when voters approved a tobacco tax for early childhood, and they are an unintended exemption. Thank you to Pima County and the Board of Supervisors for their historic investment in early child care and education through PEEPS. In order to maintain that program and ensure that all children in Arizona enter kindergarten healthy and ready to succeed, we need stable statewide funding. I urge you to advocate and protect this critical investment in our youngest children and those who care for them. Our economy, our families, and our future workforce depend on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Glenda Avalos.
Buenos dias. Good morning. My name is Glenda Avalos. I live in District 5, and I am not a paid speaker. Affordability crisis. At Casa Maria, we see daily the struggles of working families who are being forced to bear more than what they can carry. due to the continuous push for economical growth that only favors a few. Our communities are pushed deeper and deeper into despair with no light of hope to alleviate the weight of their burdens. Data centers across the nation have put residents at risk of substantial rate increases, blowouts, and air and water pollution, and more. Through TEP, there are no enforceable protections for the current residents who are already in an affordability crisis. There is more to lose than there is to gain from this project. The biggest question is, at the cost of what do we move forward? As elected officials, it is your duty to ensure the people who elected you are actually represented in the best interest of us. Not corporations, not multi-billion-dollar utility companies, not anything else, but regular people. If you continue to support this, it is, and please know, it is political suicide. We will remember, and when people raise, it is power, and we will mobilize against you. Thank you.
Ms. Avalos. Our next three speakers are Randy Rist, Robert Royce, and Stephen R. Marks. Randy Rist.
Two things. One, the process has been less than transparent for the public that elects you. You need to have more hearings, more information publicly available on the website. You have to have more third-party evaluation of this project. And one thing I'll raise is that we don't have very many earthquakes here, but when we have them, they're big. And has that been considered as well? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rist. Mr. Royce.
Let me address the chair directly. 4 weeks ago, I took great offense to being characterized as a junkie by the chair. Over 5 years, I've watched you. You came in with a lot of promise, but you have turned yourself into a poster boy for the old boy system that's been squeezing the life out of our community. Now, as for me being a junkie, I started my political life at 13. At 16 and 17, I was precinct captain. I guaranteed a square vote count in my precinct after my mother gave up her position as presiding election judge. At 20 years old, in one mammoth 50-minute presentation, I talked Mayor Eckert and the police chief in Carbondale, Illinois, to get rid of those little blue riot helmets, which were pretty much starting a riot. I convinced them that mixing riot helmets and drunk people is bad policy in the city. Never had another riot. In 1990, simply by hanging out with the counter protesters for 10 minutes while I waited for David to show up with the protesters stage, I managed to avoid a riot. I convinced them that they liked me, and so even when they found out I was one of the dreaded protesters, they treated me and the entire crowd far more respectfully, and Sheriff McGee was able to guard the event, standing alone on a milk crate with no police in sight. They were all staged to move in if they had to. In 1990, I started the change of government procedure in Fayetteville, and I stuck it out through 2 years, and we got a new government and a whole new beginning for our city. Never mind, I'm just a junkie. I'm doing all this as a junkie. I put out a riot at a city council meeting in 6 minutes. It was my last act in Fayetteville. I moved here. I've attended 375 city council meetings, a couple hundred board of supervisors meetings. I've done 187 episodes of the new city government for Tucson. I did 44 episodes of Thomas Jefferson still lives. I have had an effect on the city which only I understand, but never mind. I'm just a junkie.
Thank you, Mr. Royce. Stephen Marks. Mr. Marks.
I think I've already spoken.
That was, I thought you were Mr. Rist.
No.
Is Mr. Rist here? Okay. All right, then our next three speakers are Dave Smith, Bennett Marks, and John Ralston.
All right. I just got back from an extended stay in the Midwest, and I'm refreshed why we all live here in Arizona. And that's why it's important that we all work together to make good government and make things function. One of the things that happens time and again, people come before you and they yell and scream, and we raise hell because we have different issues. I was thinking,
yourself by pressing star 6. You're
am I-
muted.
it's this. I thought
Mr. Smith, I'm sorry, we're getting some
feedback there.
feedback.
Oh,
Yes.
thank God it's not my meds. Okay, good. I was just checking here. Boy, I'm at that age, it's all ambiguous, you know what I mean? All right, gang. So anyway, I thought when I would come today, now that I'm back in town and it's warm and comfortable here, is I want to give you guys some advice, just a friendly advice. Years ago, I was here and I talked about how we needed better feedback mechanisms, the cybernetic loop, et cetera. I talked about a guy named Aaron Waldowski. Waldowski was a liberal. He's since passed, brilliant man. He was a sociologist, and he wrote a book called Implementation. He had developed a program for Oakland to eliminate long-term unemployment, which has been a chronic problem in our society, chronic problem here in Arizona. And one of the things he discovered in his book, Implementation, was how difficult it is to make a government program function. As you can see just from today, making a simple decision regarding things like, for instance, do I want to have another data center? Do I not? This has become quite the hot potato, watching it from afar on YouTube, you guys. It's certainly got people to show up for a while, I'll tell you what. And yet again, that's important because in a representative democracy, people need to be actively participating with their representatives. So I really encourage this. So in that spirit, I had one of my favorite artificial intelligence mechanisms run a core issues that Waldowski addressed in his problems with making government work. And it just gave me a nice little 2-page handout. I will make sure you get it, and you can read it at your leisure, throw it away, whatever. But once again, he talked about the problem with the fact that making intergovernmental organizations work together is difficult. Making organizational decisions is difficult. And your problem is going to be not only making the decision, but implementation. As you can see right now, you're shuffling this hot potato around on this data center. And one of the things, this is going to get more and more complex, as is our homeless issue, as our housing problems, that is affordability. And I hope that you'll take a good liberal, Waldowski, the sociologist who actually studied things, and I love that guy. His insight, I think, is important. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. If you give your document to Mr. Felix from the clerk's office, he'll make sure the board gets it.
All righty.
Thank you, sir. Bennett Marks.
Good morning. This is my first time here, so excuse me if I make any mistakes. My name is Bennett Marks. I am from District 3. I'm here to express opposition to Project Blue, an egregious waste of our desert's limited resources. This project would utilize more than 5 million gallons of water a day, and it uses more power than the entire city of Tucson. As someone living paycheck to paycheck, this would make my cost of living, as well as the cost of living of many like me, completely unsustainable. Data centers like these have a history of raising power costs, and the consequences of this are felt throughout communities from individual members to small businesses. I urge you to join me in opposition to any data center development project, as they are a threat to our own community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Marks. John Ralston?
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Hello, my name is John Ralston. I reside in District 5. I'm not being paid, and my views are my own. According to a report by journalist Garrett Archer of ABC 15 News in Phoenix on November 18th, 2025, there are 79 data centers currently operating in Arizona, 32 data centers under construction, and 112 announced data centers, currently totaling 223 data centers for Arizona. To my knowledge, no one has calculated the aggregate effect of all those data centers on our state. That is 223 straws directly or indirectly in the already depleted aquifer, as well as siphoning off water from the Colorado River, preventing water from being delivered downstream. To paraphrase a quote from the movie There Will Be Blood, they're going to drink our milkshake. They're going to drink it all the way up. That is 223 additional stressors on already stressed power grids. That is 223 point sources of fine particulate matter, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, volatile organic compounds, PFAS, carbon dioxide, etc. Communities that have data centers are giving up large amounts of water and have skyrocketing utility rates, financially stressing already stressed members of those communities. This board has the opportunity to be a leader and pump the brakes on this runaway train of data center development. Yes, a lot of construction jobs will be created, but they will be building the infrastructure for systemic impoverishment of our community. I understand you are being triangulated in this Milgram experiment, and there are many groups of people, lawyers, staff, Beal, Chamber of Commerce, etc. They want you to push the button and harm the people of this community, but you don't have to do it. Stop the land sale to Beal, stop Project Blue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ralston. Our next three speakers are Bill Ruiz, Reed Sperling, and Lee Zeisch. Bill Ruiz. Okay.
Good morning, Supervisor. I just wanted to come up here and defer our statement until the 16th on behalf of the transportation.
Okay, so you're wanting to address item number 16, and,
Yeah.
and you prefer to speak when the board reconvenes that hearing on the 16th?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Reed Sperling.
Good morning. Morning, Chair Scott.
Good morning.
And good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Reed Sperling. I'm a Pima County resident, and I'm not paid to be here. I'm here to, again, ask you to end Project Blue. As I think you have learned by now, the company behind this project, Beal Infrastructure, cannot be trusted. On June 17th, they told you, here, right here, that if the annexation did not go through, the land sale would not go through. That was a lie. They lied to you. They cannot be trusted. On November 6th, Beal Infrastructure said that they are committing to match 100% of energy use at their Pima County data center with renewable energy. On November 20th, TEP says, I can assure you that the power contemplated under our agreement with Beal will not be sourced from 100% renewable resources. They lie. They lie again and again and again. They cannot be trusted. I recently took a road trip to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Beal Infrastructure has just started construction on 2 massive data center complexes. The people in these communities are fighting to protect their water, their air, and their land from this company. In the words of one Republican activist I spoke with there, Beal is sucking us dry. They cannot be trusted. I am confused why 3 of the Democrats on this board are working in lockstep with the Trump administration on its data center agenda. I found one possible explanation in your campaign finance reports, thousands of dollars in donations to you, and you from Diamond Ventures, the land developer behind Project Blue, from Lazarus and Sylvan, the lawyers for Project Blue, for TEP, which stands to make millions from Project Blue, and from Southwest Gas, which stands to benefit in the same way. How do you expect this trail of donations to play with voters? All I will have to tell people is Steve Christie allowed Project Blue to be built. Nat Hines allowed Project Blue to be built. Rex Scott allowed Project Blue to be built. And their first question will be, who is running against them and how can I help? I have 3 recall quick reference guides for the 3 of you to read because you might need them. Thank you.
Mr. Sperling, if you would give your items to Mr. Felix from the clerk's office, he'll make sure the board gets them. Mr. Felix, right here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Lee? And after Lee, we have Vivek Barathan, Alice Hatcher, and Molly McCassin.
Hi, my name is Lee. I'm a District 2 resident. I really don't want to be here again today. I'm very angry that I have to come here as a citizen and fight to be protected from Project Blue. But I know there are so many people who don't have a flexible work schedule like me, so I'm here representing them today. Every time we come here and we are not listened to, we have a group chat with hundreds and hundreds of people against us. Every single time they asked when the supervisors who will not reverse course are up for re-election. And when they find out that a lot of you aren't up for re-election until 2028, they start asking about what they can do to recall you all. So far, our answer has been, it is a ton of work, but let's do the work to try to get them to do the right thing, to stop and close the land sale. If you do not stop and reverse course and close, and if you do close the land sale and sell us out, no, that is what people are talking about recalling you all, because that's how much of a threat Project Blue is to us. You keep saying it is inevitable. It is not inevitable. It is only inevitable if you don't do your jobs in reverse course and not close on the land sale. So I want to thank Supervisor Cano and Allen for continuing to fight, for speaking up against this energy service supply agreement that is in front of the ACC. They will likely vote on that tomorrow. There is nothing in that supply agreement that protects us from paying for the nearly 300 megawatts that TEP will give to Project Blue. And we know that TEP is actually telling investors they are right now negotiating for double that, 600 megawatts. And that will cost $1.5 to $2 billion. That is what they are telling their investors because they know that is money that they can recoup through our rates. They are telling investors we're about to make a ton of money on data centers. Why are you trusting TEP and Beal that you can get something in writing that will protect us? There is nothing you can get in writing that makes this a safe data center. You're trying to sell us pretty much safe cigarettes by saying that. And it's not just this data center. If you approve this, if you do not stand up, you are opening a floodgate of data centers that is connected to a web of surveillance and a web of frack gas infrastructure. These are all signatures that Tucson DSA just got this weekend in support of public power. How many times I talked to people about TEP and they brought up Project Blue. This is on everybody's mind because we are struggling to pay our bills and we cannot survive a data center spike in our bills as well. This has happened everywhere data centers go. There is nothing you can do to protect us. So look at the elections that recently happened in New Jersey, Virginia, Georgia. People lost their jobs. This is political suicide. If you do not reverse course, do not give us a data center for Christmas. We will remember. Thank you very much.
Mr. Barathan.
Hey, just to build off what Lee said, like, not only are we having these conversations when we talk to people, but like people are pulling us out of crowds now. We're being recognized in public, and folks are pulling us out and asking us, like, what is going on with these three on the Board of Supervisors? Why are they maintaining this position in light of all of the growing, mounting evidence since the vote in June, right? That points to growing energy rates, pollution, unique, new, innovative forms of cancer in Eastern Oregon from an Amazon data center there that's poisoning the water. Like every week there's something new. Just the past week, there's been major stories in the New York Times and Rolling Stone. And here you are not only saying that you would do it over if you could, but can't, but saying even if you could, you wouldn't. And like, it's baffling to all of us. And, you know, people are pulling us out of crowds and asking us, what does it take to recall these fools? I don't know what to tell them. Like, that's not how I want to be spending my time. I want to be spending my time building a better future for all of us here in this community, imagining together what sustainable economic development can look like, what it means to live here and have union jobs for all of our workers, to have well-paid union jobs for all of our workers, in a fashion where they're not building things that will destroy this environment and make it unlivable for our children. We want to raise our families in a healthy environment where our children get to decide for themselves when they grow up whether or not they choose to live here, not have that choice made for them because the water's gone, because the groundwater is polluted, because the air is polluted. It's completely unfair for us to make these decisions for them. This whole process, and just like what I've learned from this, from getting familiar with how local politics work, it's like a cookie factory, right? Which is a secret recipe where all of the workers are taking care of one small piece at a time, and none of them knows what the recipe actually is. You are acting as those workers in this process. We had a hearing in the Planning and Zoning Commission. Now, from what I understand, that vote took place, and all the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission had the information they had was that it could have been one of three things, and they voted for it. Right? Data center was a possibility. I don't even know that they knew it was a data center. I need to go back and look at those notes. I'm seeing some heads shaking, so I guess not. Then there's the piece of you all, and it was just about the land sale. For the city of Tucson, it's just about the annexation. For the ACC, it's just about protecting ratepayers. Who is holding the whole for us? Who has the big picture for us, if not you?
Alice Hatcher. And following Ms. Hatcher, Molly McCassin, Adrienne Hoffmeyer, and Keely Lewis.
I wasn't sure if I was going to come here today and speak against Project Blue. I'm feeling very emotional today and very distracted. Since our last Board of Supervisors meeting, I was given a very difficult health diagnosis that will affect my quality of life dramatically and possibly shorten the span of my life significantly. And it made me want to address Matt Hines as a doctor and as someone who voted for you. I voted for you because I'm a teacher, I'm a union Democrat from Michigan, I belong to 3 unions, and I'm an environmentalist, which is always a difficult line to walk. I voted for you because you ran as a doctor specifically. That's how you presented yourself to us. And I thought to myself, he can think holistically in terms of systems. He can think of complex solutions to difficult problems like most doctors, and you have a very impressive resume. So I'm here again to address you as a doctor. The planet is sick. Just this week, 1,200 people drowned in Sri Lanka and Vietnam because of flooding. We've seen the fires all over this planet. If a planet is an organism and a body, and we know it is, all the systems work in tandem. And if we're going to have development, it has to be safe and sustainable. I'm from Albion, Michigan, a town you know very well. Mesothelioma rates are through the roof. I've lost friends to mesothelioma. If we're going to have development, it has to be safe and sustainable. I am begging you today to consider Tucson. right now in the community as a patient under your care. And I'm not saying this is a rhetorical gesture. I'm saying this because I am fighting for my life right now. I am fighting for my life. And if a patient came to you, there's this air of inevitabilism around this. Oh, data centers are coming. Suck it up, buttercup. Well, I'm going to ask you, if somebody came to you, a patient with a difficult condition, would you say, well, you know, it's chronic, it's going to affect the rest of your life, and it's probably terminal. Here's a bottle of cyanide. Here's a loaded gun. Just end your life now. That's what Joni Ernst said to people. That's what Joni Ernst said. I am speaking to you as a person who is now fighting for my health and terrified about my health. And I'm just asking you to think as a doctor, the doctor I voted for. And I mean that very sincerely. And any one of my friends can tell you, I'm not a disclosing person. I'm not somebody who likes to talk about myself, but I'm not the only one here who is now feels like we're fighting for our futures and our lives. Please, please think as a doctor.
Thank you, ma'am. Molly McCassin.
Good morning, Chairman, board members. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here and caring about this community. My name's Molly McCassin, and I live in District 5, and I'm thankful to be able to speak to you this morning on behalf of myself. I'm here to urge you to speak out virtually tomorrow at the ACC meeting against TEP's Energy Service Agreement. I'm just a regular citizen. I have been in politics, but it's difficult to keep track of all this stuff. And it came to my awareness 3 days ago that this agreement was going to be passed. And this agreement is going to be passed without any kind of analysis of how Project Blue will affect TEP's rates in the coming years. And it's very clear that those rates will be going up. And there's very little analysis, little to none, which I found shocking as a politician myself. I'm really surprised. It appears that TEP is going to present something to the ACC, the Arizona Corporation Commission, that will actually just sail through unless some people like yourself can stand up for the ratepayers and say, this needs more analysis. You cannot pass this agreement yet. So that's why I'm here this morning. I mean, right now, I know that some of you are supporting Project Blue, and I think your reasons for supporting it are probably hoping that will help business in Tucson. Well, I did that for years, hoping to help business in Tucson. The best way to help business in Tucson is to try to do projects that are sustainable. So I want to ask you, please speak out individually tomorrow at the ACC meeting. Speak up for the members in this community that are struggling with housing. We are in a crisis of affordability. Please, please speak as individual, wonderful elected officials for this community, for all of us, against this TEP agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. McCaffrey. Adrienne Hoffmeyer. And Ms. Hoffmeyer is followed by Keely Lewis and Hazel Heinzer.
Good morning, Supervisors. Thank you. My name is Adrienne Hoffmeyer. I'm an attorney here in Tucson. I represent members of the community, including the Coalition No Desert Data Center. Thank you for the opportunity to address you on item 21, the Amazon data center euphemistically referred to as Project Blue. There have been legal errors in the process that we urge you to ask your staff to investigate before moving forward. First, the decision made by the Planning and Zoning Commission on April the 30th, 2025. At that meeting, they approved the amendment to the county's comprehensive plan and specific plan rezoning. We know for a fact why the county was asking for what I'll call the rezoning. At that time, as early as February 2025, the county's sole goal in rezoning that piece of land was to sell it to an Amazon affiliate on condition that they build a data center. Nowhere in the agenda, the minutes, or any document that related to that meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission revealed this information. They didn't reveal it to anyone. It wasn't available to the public. It was not even available to the commission. On the contrary, the county went to great lengths to create the impression that they had no current plans whatsoever with this piece of land. They said, and I'm quoting now, they just wanted a flexible, specific plan. They said they wanted it for, quote, office, business, or corporate centers, light industrial uses, such as research and development, assembly, production, and manufacturing. The specific plan itself, they offered some potential uses. They emphasized that these were conceptual only. They provided 3 examples. One of them was a data center. This was a blatant misrepresentation of what was going on behind closed doors and was being protected by a non-disclosure agreement. At that exact time, they were in the process of negotiating to sell this exact piece of land for the purposes and on condition that a data center be built. What does this violate? For starters, the open meetings law, which requires notices and agendas must contain such information as is reasonably necessary to inform the public. For the public to, and I'm quoting from case law here, discover and investigate further the background and specific facts of the decision. None of that information was provided here. And as you know, decisions in violation of the open meetings law are void. There are other violations I don't have time to go into right now. The decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission on April the 30th is void. Without it, the use of the land envisaged by the sale agreement is unlawful. That makes the sale agreement void or voidable. There were also errors at the Board of Supervisors this meeting on June the 17th. For starters, there was no public meeting held 15 days prior to the hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffmeyer.
Thank you.
If you have additional written information that you want to submit to the board, Mr. Felix from the clerk's office can take it from you.
I do. Thank you, Supervisor Scott. All of these I will put in with my case law and statute.
Thank you,
code
ma'am.
citations.
Appreciate it. Healy Lewis.
Good morning. My name is Kylie. I am a resident of
Sorry for mispronouncing it.
No, it's not your fault. It's a tough one. I'm a resident of District 2, and I am here in direct opposition to the land sale for Project Blue. I have a lot written out, but following some of my fellow community members and colleagues, I do want to speak directly to you, Dr. Matt Hines. I know you and I have had a couple of interactions with one another. Not all of them have been positive, and I have even told you I will expend immense amounts of energy making your life miserable if you continue to go through with this decision. But I also want to say to you, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I am willing to expend immense amounts of energy supporting you, fighting for you, backing you up on any project that you want to do that will benefit this community. I am a bartender. I am a sommelier. I want to go to your wine bar. I want to drink wine. I want to bring my industry friends there. I so desperately want to be on your side. You are my representative. But you are making conscious, active decisions to harm this community. And that is not something that I can abide, stand by, or even tolerate. So I'm asking you, please, whatever you've been fed, whatever you've been paid, whatever contributions have been given to you, walk away from it. I don't care what lawsuit you have to go through or the county has to face. We will stand at your back proudly and with force. We don't want this. We don't want something that is going to destroy our beautiful environment. I don't want to look at an ugly fucking eyesore every single time.
Please don't use that language.
Fair enough. I don't want to look at an ugly eyesore on my way down to Sonoyta or going to Tombstone or any other beautiful places that are in southern Arizona. I want to be able to look out on those beautiful hills and the landscape and know that there isn't going to be something out there destroying our water table. having rate increases go to people who are on fixed incomes, who are not going to be able to afford to pay their AC electric bills in the summertime. I want this community to thrive, and I believe that you have the power and the ability to make that happen. And so I am appealing to you in whatever way that I have to. Again, I will expend immense energy, either facing you head on, or I will be at your back supporting you no matter what. I am just asking you to please make the right decision for Pima County and the right decision for Tucson. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Hazel Heinzer.
Good morning. My name is Hazel Heinzer. I'm a resident of District 3. I'm a family therapist, a mom, and an advocate for trans youth. I'm here again today to ask all of you to do everything in your power to stop Project Blue. I would like to thank Supervisor Allen and Supervisor Cano for your continued opposition to Project Blue. My husband works in solar and is I'm extra nervous today. My husband works in solar and is one of the owners of a local solar installation company. While in theory, Project Blue could offer an opportunity for his company to install a solar system to power the data center, the fact that TEP would need to increase natural gas power production in order to power phase 2 goes against the company's value of sustainability and against the whole point of renewable energy. As an advocate for trans youth, I recently had the privilege of participating in a roundtable discussion in Phoenix on issues facing LGBTQ+ Arizonans. I highlighted the onslaught of anti-trans rhetoric, legislation, and executive orders, how access to basic care and public spaces for trans youth are being threatened and stripped away. I shared that some of the greatest concerns facing our family with trans youth are the same concerns other families in our community. Funding for public schools, climate change, water usage, air quality, resource extractive industries, data centers like Project Blue, government surveillance, the privatization of prisons and detention centers, and that all of these issues are connected. All of the cruel and unconstitutional surveillance tactics currently used to target immigrants are now being implemented more broadly in the US, and those tactics rely on data centers like Project Blue. All of our rights to live freely as ourselves are connected, and we need to stand up for each other. If you approve the land sale to go through for this data center, that endangers my children and our entire community. The residents of Pima County deserve better. We are counting on you all to protect our natural resources and our futures. Listen to this community. Listen to your constituents. Don't simply believe the spin and empty promises of a third-party company representing an out-of-town, out-of-state billion-dollar corporation. They don't have our best interest in mind. We need you to. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heinzer. There being no further speaker cards, I'm going to close call to the public and ask my colleagues if they'd like to request additional information on any item presented from staff, if they'd like to request that an item be placed on a future agenda or respond to a criticism. Seeing none, we're going to move forward to item number 16. Are you Ms. Trago? We assumed that you were here for the hearing. So you wanted to speak during call to the public? I apologize. We also saw a card with your last name for the hearing and thought you were here for the hearing. Please come forward. My apologies. We're going to reopen call to the public because of my error. Thank you, ma'am. You might want to adjust the microphone.
Good morning. My name is Joanne Trigo, and I represent the Tanque Verde Valley Association, the oldest community-based organization in Pima County. Our mission is to preserve the valley's uniquely biodiverse landscape, its scenic, ecological, and environmental character, and to ensure the residents have a clear, unified voice in county decisions that shape our community's future. In the past year, the TVVA was a designated stakeholder in 3 meetings with Pima County. In each of these discussions, we requested that Pima Prospers recognize Tanque Verde Valley as a designated special area. Today, we respectfully renew that request and urge the county to include this designation in the comprehensive plan. A special area designation is essential to safeguard the long-term health of Tanque Verde's environment, hydrological, and scenic resources. It would provide the policy framework necessary to ensure future land use decisions remain consistent with Tanque Verde's distinctive character. The Tanque Verde Valley is widely recognized as one of the most ecologically rich landscapes in the Sonoran Desert. Its biodiversity actually exceeds that of many surrounding desert regions already designated as special areas. Bordered by the Saguaro National Park, the Coronado National Forest, and Tanque Verde Falls, our valley contains rare and sensitive riparian areas, critical wildlife corridors, and they're protected by mountain ranges. The mountain foothills, grasslands, and mesquite bosques converge here and support exceptional wildlife diversity. They sustain groundwater recharge and create some of southern Arizona's most iconic natural vistas. These resources are significant and central to quality enjoyed by Tucsonans. A special area designation would establish clear policies, preserving wildlife corridors and riparian systems, safeguarding our scenic vistas and night sky quality, promoting sustainable water and land management practices aligned with the Sonoran Desert Conservation Plan, protecting natural landscapes and open space, and maintaining low-intensity land uses. These policies would help protect the valley's environmental integrity and maintain its critical role within the surrounding desert and mountain ecosystems. TVVA respectfully asks all of you to recognize the importance of this unique landscape by giving the Tanque Verde Valley a special area designation in Pima Prospers 2025. Doing so would strengthen the comprehensive plan, honor community priorities, and help protect one of Pima County's most valuable natural and scenic regions for generations to come. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Trigo. And we had one other speaker card. Not sure I'm reading this correctly. Cora Peterson.
All right. Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Pima County Board of Supervisors.
You can move the microphone.
Thank you. My name is Cora, and I am taking unpaid time off to be here from my job as an administrative assistant. I work in environmental consulting, and I am a very nervous speaker, as Andres Cano can attest to, but I just want to take a moment of my time to thank Supervisors Cano and Allen for continuing to be against Project Blue. I am more than a nervous speaker. I am Tucsonense hasta la corazón, and the people of Tucson are not being listened to. In first grade, Tucson Water came to my classroom to demonstrate the energy-intensive process of pumping water. They asked us to promise to turn off the tap while brushing our teeth. Amazon and Beale Infrastructure have made no such promises to the people of Pima County. At their information session that I attended, the people, they said that Project Blue is only the first phase of a cluster of data centers. These cluster of data centers for which they made no promises to use renewable energy or potable water. If children in the first grade in Tucson and in Pima County have to sign a promise to turn off the tap water while brushing their teeth, why are corporate interests allowed to break the promises to the people of Pima County? Why is Beale allowed free rein to our precious natural resources? Why is Amazon allowed to weaken our climate resilience and our banked groundwater and to endanger the population of elderly people on a fixed income who cannot pay their bills? Thank you. I see my time.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. All right. Now I will close call to the public, and we're going to move to agenda item number 16. This is a hearing on a code text amendment. As the board indicated at the beginning of the meeting, we're going to hear whichever speakers want to be heard during this meeting, and we're also going to then recess the hearing and reconvene it on the 16th. Administrator Lesher, is there a staff presentation prior to hearing from public speakers?
No, there is not. Chair.
Okay. All right. So if that is the case, then we are going to move into the public hearing. We do have one telephonic speaker. That is Sydney Hay. And Ms. Hay, if you are on the line, you can proceed.
Yes, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Are you able to hear me? Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you so much, supervisors. I appreciate the opportunity to be there virtually. Good day. My name is Sydney Hay, and I'm president of the organization Amigos. Amigos stands for Arizona Mining and Industry Get Our Support, and we're a trade association of about 400 firms that are suppliers to Arizona's vital mining industry. Our 400 firms, with their tens of thousands of employees collectively, depend on mining projects like Copper World for their good, high-paying jobs. Nearly 500 people among our active member individuals live and work in Pima County. In a real sense, all of our jobs depend on projects like this for the critical mined minerals we all need every day in our everyday lives. Among our member firms are many who, through their work in mining, are developing new technologies that will be used across many industries to improve our quality of life in medicine, transportation, renewable energy, and more. We also have many firms among us who are environmental firms who are working on this project every day and making advancements in air quality, water quality, and more through, yes, their work in mining. We members of Amigos, we stand in support of Copper World, and we oppose the ordinance that you're proposing. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Hay. Our next three speakers, and you can come to the front of the room and wait your turn to speak. John LeBlanc, Matt Bingham, and Michael Rusing. Mr. LeBlanc.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is John LeBlanc. I am a resident of Pima County and I'm here to express my strong opposition to the proposed ordinance to regulate heavy-duty truck traffic on Santa Rita Road. I'm proud to represent the Copper World team here today, many of them who will speak later. A team who's dedicated to work collaboratively with our communities, within our environments, with our local communities, employ locally, and build what is going to be a future-facing innovative mine. Mining has drastically changed the last 20 to 30 years. It continues to change as advancements are made in technology, reducing our impact on the environment, enabling safer operations. Copper World is a rare opportunity to build a future mine today, from the beginning. Copper World is a U.S. business, let's be clear, that will locally employ and locally source goods and services like the Amigos. It's investing billions right here in Pima County, and we think it's important to clarify that while our parent company is headquartered in Toronto, we've been listed on the New York Stock Exchange for more than 15 years, and more than 60% of our company valuation is based out of U.S. investors. We've heard that copper is flowing to Canada. It's quite the opposite. Copper is being made here in Arizona for the United States of America and will benefit all of you. We've worked successfully and collaboratively to remove the dust issues through interagency working groups. You'll hear more about that. This is not an issue that requires regulatory solutions. It's a voluntary effort that we've helped resolve with you. It's one that we're committed to working transparently with and in partnership with to build what is a world-class mine. You have and will hear from the sentiment directly from people in our communities who support this operation, people who know the importance of this project and offer their support. You have heard from the Amigos and other businesses who will benefit from this operations. So you'll have to forgive me, I'm a finance professional, so I have to go to some numbers to remind you how important and significant this project is. Copper World will invest over $8 billion over the next few decades in the life of this mine. That's $8 billion of privately sourced funds, not from government agency, the largest privately funded initiative in the Southwest of Arizona. No government aid. This investment does not draw from the community, it gives back. Through our local first hiring, sourcing commitments, we are creating significant economic advancement for the residents of Pima County, those that you serve. We're creating over 400 high-paying, highly skilled jobs, 3,000 indirect jobs. These are jobs that will pay well over the Arizona median income. They are not a drain on your system, they are providing into it. Furthermore, we have doubled our employment this year and we'll double it again next year. These are not future-based commitments, they are commitments for today. Furthermore, Copper World will generate $850 million in federal, state, and local revenue, including $250 million of property taxes for Pima County. These are new roads, new hospitals, new schools benefiting our communities. We're fully permitted, fully funded, and going to build a world-class mine right here. We're committed to working together to solve any potential problems you have. Let's build trust. Please vote against this resolution.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bingham.
Good morning, Chairman Scott, members of the board. My name is Matt Bingham. I've lived in Arizona since I was 11 years old, and I currently live in Tucson in District 5. I pay taxes in Pima County, and I'm raising my kids here. I'm invested in this community. I moved to Tucson in 2014 to work for Hudbay. I left that position last year to start a small business, and I'm now fortunate to have Copper World as a client. It's unfortunate, I think, that people often view this project through a political lens. Either you support the environment or you support business. This is a false dichotomy. This community needs both economic opportunities and environmental protection. I agree completely with demanding clean air and responsible water use, but we also need tax revenues to fund schools and good paying jobs that allow hardworking Arizonans to support their families. We can have both by building responsible projects in jurisdictions with strong environmental laws. Arizona's regulatory system simply doesn't permit projects with toxic or devastating environmental impacts.
Mr. Sperling, please.
Our permitting framework ensures that new mines operate in compliance with U.S. air and water quality standards. Many people who oppose Copper World, I believe, are not considering the bigger picture, including the social justice implications of refusing to mine in the U.S. The real question isn't whether we need copper. The question is, where will we choose to get it from? Today, the U.S. is heavily reliant on foreign imports, and this dependence is fundamentally a social justice issue. The Democratic Republic of Congo is now one of the world's largest copper producers, mining more copper than the United States does. Yet significant mining in the DRC is linked to serious human rights abuses, poor safety standards, child labor, and environmental devastation. Blocking a new mine in Pima County doesn't reduce the global demand for copper. It supports copper supply from other locations, effectively outsourcing our ethical responsibilities. I want to talk very briefly, in contrast to how mining is done in some places, to what Copper World is planning to do here to proactively minimize its environmental impact. Copper World's signature mitigation program focuses on replacing its use of groundwater with water imported from the Colorado River. Copper World has committed to being net neutral by recharging 105% of what it pumps. The company has already recharged over 42,000 acre feet in the Tucson AMA. That's enough for the first 8 years of operations. Copper World is currently building a pipeline to bring this water to the Green Valley area near its well sites at a cost in excess of $60 million. This is responsible mining, protecting our environment while meeting our country's copper needs. There's so many problems with this proposed ordinance. It's not going to stop Copper World.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. If you have further testimony you want to submit to the board, please give it to Mr. Felix from the clerk's office.
Thank you.
Michael Rusing. And Mr. Rusing is followed by Jerry Bustamante, Rick Grinnell, and Nancy Gungor.
Good morning, Chairman and Board. My name is Mick Rusing, and I represent Copper World, who is the target of the proposed ordinance, which is one of the reasons why it's illegal. How do we know it's the target? I refer you to the memo from the county administrator dated November 12th. What does it tell us? It tells us, number one, there is not a dust problem right now. That Copper World is voluntarily, in conjunction with other stakeholders, including the county and city of Sahuarita, has undertaken mediation efforts that have been, quote, effective. The memo also doesn't really effectively address, if that really was a problem, the paving option. The Sonoran Desert Plan, Conservation Plan specifically states that paving is an effective way to deal with particulate pollution, and no consideration of that is given. Why is that? It's because the ordinance has nothing to do with dust. It has everything to do with stopping the mine. And how do we know that? It's because who proposed the ordinance? Who was the genesis? Who was essentially the author of the ordinance? Save the Scenic Santa Ritas. Save the Scenic Santa Ritas has been around since 1996. And if you look at their website, the very first statement in in their mission statement is to stop mining in the Santa Ritas. And the cover of it does not say to stop dust. It says to stop Copper World. And that's why they did it. They don't care anything about dust. Their whole goal and the whole goal of this ordinance is to thwart mining by Copper World. How do we also know we're the target? We're named throughout the memo. There's three names that come up all the time: Copper World, Save the Scenic Santa Ritas, and Santa Rita Road. All those affect one entity, Copper World and mining. And so it's illegal. You cannot pass laws that are focused on one entity. It's called a special law. They are illegal. It also violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. Also could potentially be a takings, which would cost the county billions of dollars. This is not the first time the county has tried to do this. They tried to do it in 2015 with their lighting ordinances to stop Rosemont back then. Rosemont prevailed and the county had to pay him $50,000 in fees. This is a better case. If this ordinance gets passed, it will be challenged and the county is going to lose. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rusing. Mr. Bustamante.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Jerry Bustamante. I am a 30-year resident of District 1, and I have lived in the Sonoran Desert my entire life on both sides of the border. This is my home, and I love it. I am also a proud employee of Copper World and Hut Bay Minerals, and I am here to express my strong opposition to this proposed ordinance to regulate heavy truck traffic that's targeted on Santa Rita Road, which is the primary entrance and egress to the Copper World site. Now, the memo that you received on November 12th from Administrator Lesher correctly notes the positive results that have been achieved by the current dust mitigation working group. Now, I'm pleased to say that I led the effort on behalf of Hut Bay and Copper World to create this interagency working group. And this was a recommendation that was made to us. And I'm pleased to say that Pima County, the town of Sahuarita, the state of Arizona, the U of A experimental range are all part of this interagency working group. And the group was formed proactively to solve the problem of dust, both short-term and long-term, on Santa Rita Road. And I'm very confident to say that we are achieving those results that we set out to do as a working group. Now, our actions as a company show a commitment to being a good neighbor. In good faith, we have worked diligently with these agencies, and we have invested significant resources into finding a viable non-regulatory solution. Now, to date, Copper World, we have spent over $1 million on dust control on Santa Rita Road. And we also went out and found an Arizona-based company that's an expert in developing a dust suppressant that's specific to us. And it has been successful. Bottom line is there is simply no urgent public health crisis. There's no wave of public outcry. There's really no rational justification for this punitive ordinance. No one is being hurt, and your offices are no longer being flooded with complaints about dust. Earlier this year, they were. That's not happening anymore. Okay, it's not happening. So this proposed ordinance simply attempts to fix a problem that the working group is already successfully and voluntarily controlling. Okay, it's a proven mechanism for collaborative problem solving. And any issues with regards to dust, to traffic, to water, we as a company, we're here. and we're willing to work with our stakeholders and all the different agencies involved to find solutions. So, we as a company, we are committed. We have the resources and the desire
Thank
to
you, Mr.
work.
Bustamante.
So I strongly urge you all to vote against this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Grinnell. Mr. Grinnell is followed by Nancy Gungor, Allie Huntley, and Roxanne Morales.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Rick Grinnell. I'm the co-founder of the Southern Arizona Business Coalition, and we've been in business since 2012. Prior to that, I served 3 years as a outreach coordinator with the Rosemont Copper Project, and I'm very happy and grateful that I've had that opportunity. A lot of good people in this industry. But before I elaborate a little bit more, I parked in the north parking garage. The number 3 elevator is out of commission. I had to take the stairs, but there was no sign on the 3 lower levels. Number 2, there's no wheelchair access to this meeting. This entrance where the ramp is closed. And you have a $1.7 billion budget, or $1.76 billion budget. And you can't accommodate people with disabilities? I'm a disabled veteran, and I'm glad we're able to talk about this issue because in 2 weeks, I'm having another service-connected back surgery. People, we rely on copper to produce everything we have in our lives. And in the last surgery I had, I said to the doctor, how much copper do you use? And he says, I don't know, but I'm sure glad it's here. And you should be too. I'm not going to get into all the other issues, but I heard a couple of your speakers. By the way, Amazon has pulled out of Project Blue. And housing. This mining industry employs regionally over 10,000 direct and indirect jobs. Now think about that. My uncles, my cousins worked in the mines. And let me end with this. I haven't met some of you personally, and I wish you all the best. But in Ireland, they tell me I'm not that important. The size of my funeral will depend on the weather. So it's time for us to not take ourselves so seriously, but be willing to look at a much broader picture and the long-term impacts. I have 10 grandkids. And let me tell you something. I'm old. I know it don't look like it, but I want them to have the opportunities that was afforded to me when I was growing up in this valley. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Grinnell. Ms. Gungor?
Good morning, and thank you for having us here. My name is Nancy Gungor. I've been in the mining industry for over 20 years. I'm also a board member of Amigos, where Sydney spoke earlier today. I'm here supporting HUDBay, Copper World, because I see the importance in jobs. We've been involved with it for a number of years at different points, and I'm very intricately involved in the mining industry. I breathe mining, I talk about mining, and I support mining, and I will continue to do so because no other argument has ever convinced me otherwise. I'm here, so the number 16 that was introduced as described in this hearing, the amendments to Title 10, would create 10.37 for unpaved county roads and would regulate certain unpaved county roads to the stated purpose of maintaining air quality standards. Copper World is poised to be one of the most significant private infrastructure investment in Southern Arizona, creating thousands of jobs, very well paid above what is paid right now in Pima County. And it is projected to generate, as you all know, hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue. The project will also be a net zero water user and will produce finished copper on site within the first 5 years, eliminating the need for smelting or offsite processing and substantially reducing environmental impacts. I'm going to, a lot of the things that I have here are things that have already been spoken by my colleagues. But where we see the flaw is there are so many problems with this proposed ordinance. It's targeting one particular company. There's absolutely no cost benefit analysis, air dispersing modeling, or any other type of analysis behind it. Despite what the memo says, there's absolutely nothing. The Sonoran Desert Conservation Plan discourages paving for the benefit of wildlife, and it's illegal. It's not going to stop Copper World. It's only going to waste taxpayer money trying to enforce it and defend it in court. If the country's real concern is reducing dust, Copper World stands ready to work with you to negotiate a voluntary agreement that will accomplish more than this ordinance at significantly less cost to taxpayers. I urge you to vote no. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Allie Huntley. Ms. Huntley is followed by Roxanne Morales and Dale Green.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Allie Huntley. I am a 19-year resident of Pima County. I live in District 3, and I'm a proud employee of Copper World. I'm here today to express my strong opposition to the proposed ordinance to regulate heavy-duty truck traffic on Santa Rita Road. As a longtime resident of Tucson, I've chosen to make my career in the mining industry for over 10 years. This region is not just a place we live, it's a historic mining district. The resources here are fundamental to modern life for all of us. Copper is not just a commodity, it is quite literally what moves us. I'm proud to work for a company in my hometown that provides a solution to strengthen our domestic supply chain and lower our reliance on foreign critical minerals. I'm also proud to be part of a company with strong culture and values, one that seeks partnership with our communities and works to find innovative solutions. The Dust Suppression Working Group is a testament to our values as a company. I am a direct example of Copper World's commitment to hiring locally, and that commitment is improving lives right here in our community. This job allows me to support my family. This job keeps me rooted and invested in Pima County. As a member of this community, I have no concerns about this mine. My neighbors have no concerns about this mine or the associated dust this ordinance is about. I strongly encourage you to vote against the proposed ordinance for the sake of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huntley. Ms. Morales.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Roxanne Morales, and I'm a 44-year resident of Pima County, a nearly 20-year resident of Sahuarita, Arizona, and a proud employee of Copper World. I'm here today to express my strong opposition to the proposed ordinance to regulate heavy traffic on Santa Rita Road located in my community. As a lifelong resident of Tucson and Sahuarita, I have chose to work as well as build a family in the community. In addition to building a family, I have also chose to work in the mining industry. It has allowed me to provide for my family as well as be part of something so much bigger. As many are aware, copper is a critical mineral that is utilized in everyday lives. I am very proud to be a part of a responsible company that allows me to not only move towards supplying this mineral to our domestic supply chain, but to also strengthen trade work that has been significantly diminished in recent years. As a direct resident of Sahuarita, I would like to emphasize that I have no concerns about Copper World, nor have I heard any concerns from my neighbors. If anything, I have only heard enthusiasm in the upcoming Copper World project. I strongly encourage you to vote against this proposed ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dale Green. No Dale Green. Steve Marasigan.
He also have to get back to work.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bustamante. Lee Mays. And Mr. Mays is followed by B. Brian Arrington and Fermin Samarano.
Thank you, Supervisors, for allowing me the time to speak here. I also want to oppose the proposed restrictions on the roadway for Copper World. I'm a third generation copper miner. Moved into Southern Arizona in 1958, moved into Pima County in 1987. I've seen the benefits from these copper mines operating. Hud Bay is going to dump hundreds of $millions into the state economy via taxes. That excludes jobs for all these people, good paying jobs. I wish I was paid that much before I retired. These people with good paying jobs will then buy houses in Pima County. They'll buy vehicles in Pima County and their RVs. They'll buy goods for their families, groceries, all of these wonderful things, which generates more tax in the county. The schools in Pima County could certainly use a influx of some money. This may be a chance to get some more of that in. We know the facts are the copper world's already been fully permitted. Some people, think that's great. Some people not so much, but the fact is it's permitted. It's ready to build a place. And Pima County, the administrator for years has been opposed to, and maybe this board has been opposed to copper world. But I ask you, it's time to get out of the way. Let's put this aside, let it be built. Don't restrict or try to stop the Copper World project now. It's just too much benefit in our county for proposal. And an example is Florence, Arizona. Florence, Arizona, just outside the city limits, is Florence Copper. The city tried years and years and years to stop Florence Copper. They lose all of their court proceedings and end up owing a huge debt to Florence Copper, which when they finally gave in and says, okay, we'll support Florence Copper, that debt was erased. Florence Copper said, we'll forgive that to them. And the city's already seen the economic benefits of these high-paying jobs. The place is almost staffed. It's another couple months before it's in production. It's the same here in Pima County. We can enjoy all of these benefits. Work, jobs, income.
Thank you, sir.
I thank you for the ability to speak.
B. Brian Arrington. And Mr. Arrington is followed by Fermin Samarano and John Doherty.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Brian Arrington, and I serve as the Regional Manager of Mining for Sun. Sun has been delivering major infrastructure and mining projects throughout Tucson and across Arizona for more than a century. Our roots run deep, and our commitment to this region is longstanding. I'm here today to express my opposition to the proposed heavy truck ordinance and its impact on the Copper World project. The Copper World project represents one of the most significant infrastructure investments Southern Arizona has seen, and it will create thousands of high-quality jobs with wages well above the Pima County average. It will also generate millions in state and local tax revenues. Beyond the economic benefits, it will become one of the nation's largest domestic producers of copper, a material essential in clean energy technologies, advanced manufacturing, and our nation's security. Despite these substantial regional benefits, the county is considering an ordinance that would severely limit essential project access by capping heavy truck traffic and requiring permits for routine day-to-day operations. These restrictions are not only impractical, they are based on speculative dust concerns and standards designed for non-attainment areas, standards that simply do not apply in this context. This ordinance would erect a barrier that threatens jobs, stifles tax revenue, and slows economic process, all without providing any measurable environmental gain. More importantly, it signals that Pima County is closed to responsible, sustainable investment, even when the investment aligns with both economic and environmental priorities. I urge the board to rethink this ordinance, and let's move forward supporting economic growth, safeguard our environment, and ensuring that Southern Arizona remains competitive and opportunity-rich for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arrington. Mr. Samarano.
Good morning. Thank you for getting my name correctly. Appreciate it. Fermin Zamorano, third generation Tucsonan, 30 years in the mining industry. I started off as a mining engineer, University of Arizona. I've worked all over the world in mining and seen mining in different countries, and I've seen mining in the United States. Mining in the United States by far has great regulation governing over them, and they adapt over and over to changes in regulation to protect the environment. I work for a bulk transportation company, so Ordinance 2025 directly attacks my industry as well as the mining industry, putting regulations on only select unpaved county roads is unfair. I think that we need to really look into that because, like I said, I work with 400, I work for a transportation company with 400 employees, and not this will only affect this project, it'll affect projects in the future when somebody can go, we don't like that road because it goes to that project, or that road because it goes to that project. So please vote no, or stop this ordinance. And not only does it attack Copper World, but it attacks my industry. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Zamorano. Mr. Doherty.
Good morning, Chairman Scott, members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is John Doherty. I'm Executive Director of Save the Scenic Santa Rita's. We're here today to express our strong support for this ordinance, and I wanted to convey to you that there's a strong support across the environmental community. There's many organizations that would have been here today, but it was our understanding this meeting was going to be continued in 2 weeks, and they will be there for that meeting. So please don't look that there's not strong support beyond our organization. There clearly is. HUD Bay made a major mistake in selecting the Santa Rita Mountains for their mine. They want to build the fourth largest open pit copper mine in the United States with no rail, no trains. That means they're going to need to run 40,000 trucks a year down the Santa Rita Road from the mountain across 7 miles of unpaved road to the heart of the Santa Rita Experimental Range, and then through downtown Saudita to Interstate 19. That's about 110 trucks a day. Now, it's interesting, HUD Bay has not mentioned that today. They've not mentioned how many trucks they're going to inflict on the road and on the community. The noise, the pollution, the increase in danger, the accidents, the likely deaths that will occur. And I'm not making this up. It was all laid out in the Federal Environmental Impact Statement in 2012 for the Rosemont mine. It's all out there. But HUD Bay doesn't want to talk about it. Not even today, when they have an opportunity to talk about the road, they don't bring it up. The impact of this heavy truck traffic going down the Santa Rita Road 24 hours a day, every 15 minutes, is going to destroy the road. And now the road goes through the middle of the Santa Rita Experimental Range. This is just not some other chunk of state land. The Santa Rita Experimental Range has been around since, 1902, 1903. It's considered one of the most important open space research centers in the United States, held by a public agency. The HUD Bay wants to turn the Santa Rita Road into an industrial corridor, which was never its intent. The Board of Supervisors, Pima County, controls the right-of-way on those roads to operate, maintain, terminate, and control. You have the authority to regulate what goes on those roads. And I think the focus needs to be on the destruction of these roads. I believe there's authority in state statute that gives the county the right to protect its roads from being destroyed. And we clearly hope that that is what happens. We strongly support this ordinance, and we look forward to the opportunity to present more information on December 16th. Thank you.
Mr. Doherty. Want to please, if you're here and you know other people who were interested in speaking today, know that the hearing will be reconvened on the 16th. Even if you spoke today, you would be able to speak again on the 16th. and let anybody who has an interest in the ordinance know that they will be able to speak on the 16th. Before I recess the public hearing, I want to see if there's any questions or comments from board members. Supervisor Hines.
For certainly now if possible, but for sure on the 16th, I think it would be helpful for the public, for the media potentially, and others, if we could have just a staff summary of the ordinance, because in listening to a lot of the comments, for example, this doesn't apply to one road. This doesn't target one entity. There's another mining entity, I believe, that's involved in the area that could be potentially affected. And this affects every unpaved or dirt road in all of Pima County. And I think it's important that we have the, just a kind of a bulleted thumbnail sketch of what this is, even though all that material is appended and everything. But I think at the hearing, it's important for our guests that they have a pretty, a thorough description of what this is contemplating, and also the underpinning, like the foundation. As a physician, one of the first cases I had when I came to my residency at the University of Arizona here 20 years ago was disseminated valley fever, which is a terrible disease that the spores from that fungus, coccidiomycosis, that comes from the dirt. Pets, my own dog before she passed had it twice. I've had disseminated cocci, and there's a lot of reasons beyond just preventing a non-attainment situation with regard to air quality due to massive amount of dust generation that we need to talk about too. And our health department has been involved in that discussion. So I just would love to get staff to brief us on that at our next meeting.
Thank you, Supervisor Hines. Any other questions or comments from supervisors? I would reiterate Supervisor Hines's request. The memo that we got on November 12th indicated that this ordinance was being worked on by 4 county departments: the county attorney's office, the county administrator's office, the Department of Environmental Quality, and the Department of Transportation. I have said in conversations with one of the deputy county administrators that I would like to know the policy basis for moving forward with this ordinance, separate from the road that is mentioned in the November 12th memo to the board. Also would reiterate what Mr. Brown said at the beginning of the meeting, which is that the board can anticipate additional legal counsel and guidance on this matter prior to November 16th.
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christie.
Along with the information that the two of you requested, I would also ask more of a predominant response from the county attorney and Mr. Brown regarding the legality of this ordinance, as well as the potential exposure that the enactment of this ordinance would create on the taxpayers of Pima County with upcoming potential lawsuits and the liability therein, and a full disclosure of all of the activities that this might bring upon the county, either for or against, but particularly the exposure that the county might possibly potentially be incurring.
Thank you, Supervisor. Any other questions or comments from board members? All right, then I am going to recess the public hearing. It will be reconvened on the 16th of December. Thank you all for participating today. And again, even if you spoke today, you can still speak on the 16th. I'm going to go ahead, because we have both remote speakers and also people who are here in person. I'm going to go ahead and go to item number 13. This is unfinished business. It is a hearing on a zoning code text amendment. Administrator Lesher, before we hear from public speakers, is there a staff presentation on the zoning code text amendment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we do have staff here from the department. Mr. Jaworski, thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, Chair Scott and board members. Before you is a zoning code text amendment to align Pima County zoning code.
Mr. Drzgowski, why don't you hold on just for a sec, because I know there are some people who are leaving the room. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Chair Scott and board members. Before you is a zoning code text amendment to align Pima County code with recently changed state law. which requires counties across the state to allow accessory dwelling units. The Pima County Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of what's before you today. Since that time, staff's worked with some of the affected large-scale neighborhood groups, including Tucson Mountain Association, Catalina Foothills Association, and the Tanque Verde Valley Association. Since the Planning and Zoning Commission, they've raised some additional concerns that they felt adversely impacted their areas. And so what staff has done since the Planning and Zoning Commission was propose some additional minor adjustments, which keeps us aligned with state law and is a little more balanced approach to allow ADUs. The 4 changes that we've proposed since the commission hearing was requiring the owner of the property to live on site when there's a short-term rental being used. Absentee landowners could cause adverse impacts. So we're proposing to include that. In addition, we're increasing the side and rear yard setback from 3 feet to 5 feet, which is what is the minimum that you can have per state law. The third change in our current code, we're proposing a 20-foot separation between a residence and an accessory dwelling unit. We're reducing that to 5 feet because requiring it to be further from the house could result in more grading into hillsides and more disturbance to the property. So allowing it to be closer to the residents could provide benefits to the community. And then the last one is we further articulated and put a statement in our code that just outlines our HDZ grading requirements, scenic route, historic preservation, buffer overlay zone requirements, just formalizing those that all those still apply. And so we've added a statement in our code for that. Lastly, staff is supportive of these changes. We think they align closely with our prosperity initiatives, especially number 1, increasing housing supply, mobility and opportunity. Number 2, improving the quality of life and opportunity in high poverty neighborhoods. And 3, improving housing stability. These additional units should provide benefits to the community, provide smaller housing options, and allow to help address the affordability issues. That concludes my staff report. I can answer any questions the board has.
Questions from board members? Supervisor Allen.
Chair Scott, thank you, first of all, for the sort of openness, the flexibility, meeting with a lot of community organizations, meeting with our offices, and hearing those concerns. I believe strongly that ADUs are one of the really important pieces in helping us address the affordability crisis within our housing stock, and very much appreciate the requirement of owner occupation for ADUs that are utilized for short-term rentals. I think as you have seen and heard, both from some of the comments that have been submitted and comments that have been risen up, there's still a few questions that have emerged that I'm hoping that you might be able to answer, provide some clarity around. So one is whether there are sort of disparities around how the ordinance applies for kind of urban, ex-urban versus rural areas.
Chair Scott, Supervisor Allen. So the code does break down requirements. It requires ADUs on all residential lots. We do have some different requirements for properties larger than an acre. And that's just, with separation and things like that. But generally, the ADUs are approved across any area where residential units are allowed. Very similar to what the city adopted or cities were required to adopt about a year ago. We did work closely with their team to kind of understand what's been going on in the process. One of the comments that you'll see in some of the letters, there's some talk about the restricted affordable unit. In our conversations with the city, they have not had any of those yet. And they have had ADUs permitted, but it's probably more in the 40 to 60 range, as opposed to hundreds and hundreds of these. And they are yet to see an affordable restricted unit, which is some of the comments you'll see in some of the letters submitted by the neighborhood groups.
Is there, on the question of restricted affordable, I think some of the questions from organizations was about the lack of definition. So are there, I guess, could you respond to that?
Chair Scott, Supervisor Allen, staff isn't supportive of adding a definition into the code because it could have adverse impacts in other locations. Restricted affordable is clearly defined in House Bill 2928. It clearly articulates the requirements, so those will apply. If we add it in our zoning code, other changes that the county may or may not attempt to accomplish with affordable housing and restricted, now we have the definition in our code, which doesn't really provide any value in staff's opinion in regards to the regulation. The regulation is clearly articulated in state law.
Great, thank you. Couple more questions.
Sure, go ahead, Supervisor, please.
Who is responsible for administering the deed restrictions?
So just like with any permit process, we've allowed guest houses and other uses where there's requirements that apply. Our team at Development Services through the permitting process will ensure that those criteria are adhered to.
Great, thank you. This also emerged in a couple of the comments. Should we have a standardized development agreement for all restricted affordable ADUs?
Chair Scott, Chair Scott, Supervisor Allen. At this time, we don't think it's appropriate. Development agreements cover lots of different options. We think we want to empower the property owners to develop it. We're going to be overseeing it and reviewing it because we're going to ultimately be permitting the restricted affordable units. And so at that point, if it's not something that's acceptable to us and our team, we wouldn't accept it.
Great. There were a couple of concerns about adding additional driveways for new ADUs. Are those allowed? How are you approaching that?
Chair Scott, Supervisor Allen, the way our code is written right now is it says access, no additional access. I know we received a comment from Tucson Mountain Association, which wanted that to say driveway. That's one of the options that could be changed if the board wishes to.
And then final question, we've also heard that the request that lot coverage be considered cumulatively for the property. So is there a reason that we don't do this in the ordinance?
Chair Scott, Supervisor Allen, by state law, we're not allowed to restrict accessory dwelling units to our coverage. What we have proposed in this ordinance is when someone adds an accessory dwelling unit, the accessory dwelling unit will extinguish allowable accessory coverage. So if I give you an example, you're allowed 1,500 square feet of accessory building and you have a 1,000 square foot garage. If you add an accessory dwelling unit that's 1,000 square feet, you will extinguish the 500 accessory coverage that is left, but we cannot restrict the accessory dwelling unit to coverage limits. That's in the state law. So what we've attempted to do is eliminate the massing of these buildings where we can, based on what we can do. So that's what we've done to try to attempt to limit what we can.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Hines.
Yeah, I have, I think, 3 friendly amendments to this based on some feedback from the Southern Arizona Home Builders Association and Manufactured Housing Industry, as well as the Tucson Association of Realtors. I do think it's important that we adopt these standards so that we can and make them as broad as possible so that we can end up building the greatest number of functional dwellings that are affordable to the most people.
Did you, Supervisor Hines, pardon me for interrupting.
Yeah.
I certainly want to hear your amendments. Did you want to hear from the public speakers before we offered any amendments?
My bad. I don't know. Sure.
Because it's conceivable, not knowing the nature of your amendments, it's conceivable that some of the public speakers might address some of the content of what you're seeking to change.
Should I quickly say the 3 things so that everybody can respond?
Yeah, yes, sir. Please. Okay. Thank you.
And one of them, the first thing is getting rid of section U.10, which states accessory dwelling units must be site built. That, as I understand, had some concerns or objections from planning and zoning. So I think that we could remove that. The second would be to amend section U.5.b to increase the maximum allowable size of an attached ADU to be the same standard as for a detached ADU. And then the third thing is with regard to the side and rear setbacks. I believe we should revert to the 3 feet, which was what was originally proposed by staff, and not accept the 5-foot change that was just described by staff. Those are the 3.
Supervisor, thank you. And we will absolutely revisit those after we hear from our speakers. Any other questions for staff from supervisors? Okay. At this point, then, we're going to go to our public speakers, and our first speaker is calling in. That is Steve Dolan. Mr. Dolan, if you are on the line, you have 3 minutes to address the Board of Supervisors.
Honorable Chair, Vice Chair, and Board of Supervisors, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm Steve Dolan, who lives at 4154 North Tortolita Road, speaking for the Tucson Mountains Association. TMA appreciates the help from Districts 3 and 5, plus Development Services staff for Pima Prospers 2025. We thank Development Services for the recent work with TMA and other neighborhood stakeholders on the text amendments for ADUs. Especially Tom and Anita for meetings and details that Tom alluded to. On November 7th, Anita sent us ADU draft ordinance revisions with requested changes from our input, but you may have not seen the ADU draft ordinance revisions that are not in item 13 attachments. TMA agrees of the need for increased build housing supply. The state attempts to address the housing crisis by building types that could create adverse impacts and unintended consequences to neighbors. TMA recognizes the state mandate and deadline to pass a Pima County ADU ordinance, but it is not ready. Planning and Zoning Commission and stakeholder requests have not been addressed, and not all requests are in today's proposed ADU standards. In addition to the 4 recommendations by the county administrator that Tom alluded to, TMA requests no new driveway or access points allowed for ADUs. That comes from the Pima County Guest House wording. Maximum lot coverage grading amounts are cumulative for all buildings, including new ADUs. Large lots allow a second detached ADU if restricted affordable, whose deed restriction or development agreement requirement and enforcement needs ADU standard clarification. And last, ADU applications must document compatibility with sensitive environments identified in Pima County regulations and special areas apt in the comprehensive plan. TMA requests are important. For example, now in the Tucson Mountains, there are 7 properties of recent accessory buildings or guest houses with questionable permitting for access, grading, and size. And future renters may not be proud property owners as current residents. Development Services staff are very talented and can create ADU standards unique to Pima County to protect neighborhoods and Sonoran Desert habitats everywhere, including Tucson Mountains, Catalina Foothills, and Tanque Verde Valley of floodplains with significant mesquite bosques. There are over 20 urban cities and towns in the Phoenix metropolis where ADUs may be okay. Our Sonoran Desert is special and unique in Arizona. Pima County residents deserve a better ADU ordinance and standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan. Now we're going to go to our speakers here in the hearing room, Jim Trigo, followed by Fred Friastro and William Reed.
Good morning. I'm Jim Trigo, President of Tanque Verde Valley Association. I want to thank you for the opportunity to comment on the proposed ADU text amendment and for the collaborative work by Development Services throughout this process. Neighborhood organizations across the county, including Catalina Foothills, the Tucson Mountain Association, and Tanque Verde Valley Association, participated extensively in Pima Prospers 2025 and the ADU ordinance discussions. And we appreciate the county's willingness to incorporate key stakeholder concerns. We want to acknowledge several important improvements in the current draft, including increased side and rear setbacks and the 10-foot separation of requirement between the ADU and the primary structure. These are meaningful steps that help preserve native vegetation and reduce unnecessary grading. We also strongly support the requirement that properties with ADUs rented for fewer than 30 days must be owner occupied. This will help prevent investor-driven conversions of single-family properties into short-term rental businesses and will support long-term neighborhood stability. We further appreciate the clarification that existing development standards continue to apply to new ADUs, which will help prevent unintended impacts on parcels that already contain several accessory structures. However, we remain concerned about section U.4, which allows for second detached ADU on parcels 1 acre and larger if it is designated a restricted affordable. We want to support the goaling of expanding affordable housing. This provision lacks the clarity and administrative structure necessary for successful implementation. The ordinance should incorporate the definition of the restricted limited occupancy to households earning up to 80% a median income and required deed restriction or development agreement. Pima County should specify a clear and enforceable process for income verification and ongoing compliance. Finally, to minimize cumulative impacts in rural, environmentally sensitive, and designated special areas, we also request the following clarification: that no driveways be permitted for ADUs and that only site-built ADUs are permitted. In closing, thank you to your staff for your collaboration and for addressing several issues. We ask that the remaining concerns be resolved before adoption to ensure the ordinance is effective and equitable.
Thank you, Mr. Trigo. Mr. Fiastro.
I'm Fred Fiastro, and I'm here on behalf of the Catalina Foothill Association Board and our 1,600 plus neighbors. We also thank you for the opportunity to speak today. And for many years, we've worked collaboratively with county officials to maintain neighborhood environmental protections in our areas that help preserve one of Arizona's oldest planned communities. So we thank you for that collaboration and longstanding association. We also want to take a moment to acknowledge Kate Hiller, if she's still here, and for her responsiveness in District 1 and Supervisor Scott and her attention to detail. Your job will get much harder on Thursday, after Thursday. The new additional dwelling or ADU ordinance, together with the short-term rental statute, overrides a lot of local zoning rules and it doesn't really adequately account for a lot of the neighborhood-specific protections built into these codes. They have been ironed out over many years, baked into a lot of complicated zoning code. And now we're under the gun to have an ordinance before you today to comply with a state mandate. And we understand the time pressure of that. But as Mr. Dolan pointed out and Jim pointed out, there are a lot of loose ends in this, and we hope that this is a placeholder ordinance that will set the stage for further revisions over time. I'm here to support the process, get something on the books, and move forward. We appreciate the collaboration with development services, with neighborhoods like ours, and resulting in the additions of Pima County ordinance before you today, particularly a requirement for the owner occupancy that we all supported getting in. As we solve the housing crisis, we want to make sure that we allow that as we do things like this, that allow as many as 4 residents on parcels that historically allowed only 1 could significantly increase neighborhood environmental impacts are dealt with. We appreciate Administrator Lesher and the board's pursuing reforms of the short-term rental issue at the state level, but we also have local tools available to us. And we would like to pursue what many other counties and jurisdictions have done, including Gila County adopting a short-term rental ordinance that offers a number of safeguards. These include permits, requiring permits of folks who want to rent their houses out, tied to health and safety, limiting large events, insurance requirements, neighborhood notification, and 24-hour points of contact. All of those issues and a number of others could be solved through an ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Reed.
Good morning. My name is Bill Reed. I think it's morning, is it? I'm currently the president of Catalina Foothills Estates number 8, as well as a member of the Catalina Foothills Association Board. And thanks for the opportunity to speak here today. My main goal is to persuade the board in the future to adopt short-term rental regulations. But first, I have a couple of comments on the new proposal for the ordinance. First is many lots in the Catalina Foothills are on septic systems. The new statute allows counties to require that any septic system used to serve an accessory dwelling unit be adequately sized before construction of the unit. The proposed ordinance does not address this septic systems at all. Should that be included in the audience in this ordinance? And the other comment I'd like to make is the third accessory dwelling unit on an acre must be restricted affordable. And again, I think that restricted affordable should be defined within this ordinance so that people don't have to go from one document to the state statutes to find the actual definition. And who is going to be responsible for verifying the income of any potential restricted affordable rental unit? And what happens when the renter's income actually increases? Will they have to move out because they didn't make too much money? While that statute sounds like a good idea on the surface, I think it would be near impossible to regulate. And the statute does not require this. It only allows the Pima County to make it the third one, restricted affordable. So, and again, I'm thankful for the requirement to have the owner occupancy of any ADUs rentals for the third rental. And much more needs to be done with short-term rentals, though. Gila County, as Fred pointed out, and closer to home, the town of Oro Valley also has a short-term rental ordinance. So I think Pima County should be a leader in this short-term rental regulation, not a follower. So I would like to see Pima County also in the future adopt short-term rental regulations. As Fred said, some of the things that would require would be the liability insurance, but more importantly, it would require notification of neighbors of any short-term rental that's going to be put in their neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Okay, Mr. Reed was our last speaker, unless I missed somebody like I did during call to the public. Mr. Pugh.
Yes, I did fill out a form, Mr. Scott, and
It might be with the other hearing.
I'm sorry, my mistake.
Okay.
So the next, it's 14, yes.
Okay, so you don't want to speak to number 13, you want to speak to number 14?
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Pugh. Thank you, sir.
Correct.
No problem. All right, so let's go back to our colleagues. Supervisor Hines, you had some amendments that you wanted to propose, and then Supervisor Cano was seeking recognition as well.
Sure, and I think we heard a lot. The whole point, the spirit and intent of this legislation is to help us to meet the growing and out of control need for more and more housing and more affordable housing. So I think it's so important that that we don't overly complicate things. And I believe the amendments that I proposed will help make it it will clarify the process, make it simpler, so that those who are able to develop and build these kinds of structures are able to do so without, most efficiently and for the lowest possible cost, which of course is to the direct benefit of those who will be inhabiting those dwellings because there'll be lower rent. So that's what those three, and again, remember the first thing I mentioned, striking the must be site built situation that was already objected to by planning and zoning members. So
Could we take your amendments one at a time,
yeah,
Supervisor?
sure. Okay. So that first one is striking, that's U.10, accessory dwelling units must be site built. And I don't know if there was a vote on that, but if staff could clarify why that's still in there, because it seemed based on the Planning and Zoning Commission that would have been removed based on their feedback.
What was the section again, Supervisor?
U.10.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Driscowski, Supervisor Hines directed a question to staff with regard to his proposed amendment.
Chair Scott, board members, at the commission, there was a lot of discussion about manufactured and modular homes and the value that they provide. And the ultimate decision of the commission was to allow mobile manufactured modular units where the zone allows that. So what happened with number 10 is they did leave accessory dwelling units must be site built. And then the next section says manufactured and modular homes may be used as accessory dwelling units in zoning districts where these units are permitted. So we have zones like CR1, SR, SR2. Site built would only be allowed. Then we also have some of our other rural zones like RH, GR1, SH. Those would allow a mix of accessory dwelling units. You could do site built, manufactured, modular. And so I think that's the way the commission kind of crafted it, or the way we got to articulate and get the approval for manufactured to be allowed where manufactured homes are permitted.
So, Mr. Chair, and
Please.
That was confusing, right? And that's not an attack. I'm just saying that trying to explain that to folks is really difficult. And I think simplifying it by simply removing U.10 would be much more elegant way to do this. If these are okay, and I don't know, why would they be not okay in certain areas versus others? I don't understand.
Mr. Driscowski.
Chair Scott, board members. So we do have certain zones that manufactured homes are not allowed in. There was a definite discussion about making sure that in zones where only site-built homes are allowed, only site-built ADUs are allowed. In the other zones that permit a mix of housing types such as RVs, trailers, manufactured homes, in those zones, the commission felt it was appropriate to allow those. And so I think with U10, we tried to articulate so that they have to be site built. And then there's kind of like the exception that says where manufactured and modular units are allowed, ADUs can be of the same type. And so that's, I think, what we tried to articulate to ensure that it protects both sides.
Okay, I still don't like this, and I think we should remove it.
Okay, so Supervisor Hines is making a motion that item U10 be deleted. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion. Go ahead, Supervisor.
So can you clarify what is included? Because those are such broad categories between manufactured and modular homes. What is included in those? So for example, is a trailer included?
Chair Scott, board members, no, that they wouldn't be. Manufactured homes are a particular type of constructed unit. And so RVs and trailers, those aren't included in that.
There's something else.
Correct. In regards to U10, striking the first part of it where it says accessory dwelling units must be site built, I think, that would probably be appropriate because the following section of that says manufactured and modular homes may be used as accessory dwelling units in zoning districts where these units are permitted. So that type of change would not, staff is okay with that. Staff would be supportive of that.
Any other questions or comments from board members on the motion? Go ahead, Supervisor.
I mean, I would just add that manufactured homes and modular homes are so different than what they kind of used to be. In so many cases, they are indistinguishable from a site-built home. And so I think the dynamic that we have in place right now of distinguishing between and limiting where manufactured and modular homes can and cannot be, I think it does our community a disservice in not creating space for where we can have affordable, quick to assemble housing. They absolutely are. Newer units are at a high standard and a high quality. I think that there is an opportunity to expand what we consider within ADUs around the region and help further our housing crisis goals.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Hines, go ahead, please.
Would it be possible, perhaps at a separate meeting, to consider the areas where not site-built units are currently permitted, perhaps?
I'm not sure. Is that we're talking about your amendment to remove U10?
Correct, but that doesn't necessarily. I still want to do that, but there are still some areas, as we hear from staff, where off-site built dwellings are not permitted. So I don't know if we could separately look at that. I don't think that's necessarily a today thing.
I think after we consider amendments, we can have a discussion about the extent to which this is, to quote Mr. Fiastro, a placeholder ordinance, and
sure.
how the board and the Planning and Zoning Commission or the Planning and Zoning Commission might revisit it as needed.
Okay, great.
All right, further discussion on the amendment to remove U10.
Is it removal of U10 or just the first? Sorry, Mr. Chair, I wasn't recognized.
No, you're okay, Supervisor. Go ahead, please.
Just the first line or the second?
No, Supervisor Hines's motion was to completely remove U10. Mr. Drzgowski said that staff would be okay with removing just the first sentence that says accessory dwelling units must be site built, but that is not Supervisor Hines's motion. All right, further discussion on the motion. Let's do a roll call vote on this, Ms. Manriquez.
Supervisor Allen? Yes. Supervisor Connell?
Yes.
Supervisor Christie?
No.
Supervisor Hines?
Yes.
Chair Scott?
No. All right, item passes 3-2 with Supervisor Christie and myself opposed. All right, Supervisor Hines, you had two other amendments to offer.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Chair Scott. So the second one would be to amend section U5B to increase the maximum allowable size of an attached ADU to be the same standard as for a detached ADU.
So it would, so you would be taking out B and
amending, I think.
Okay, so it would say attached and detached accessory dwelling units may be developed up to 75% of the gross floor area of the main dwelling or 1,250 square feet, in whichever is less.
That's correct.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion, Supervisor Hines.
Yeah, again, this would just allow us to maximize the amount of space that can be dedicated to, especially to affordable housing, and provide more opportunities for home builders to meet our growing affordable housing need. And yeah, that's about it.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Supervisor Allen.
Chair Scott, I am curious sort of why the ordinance was written as it is now, and then what the implication of this might be.
Chair Scott, board members, this 1,250 square foot came from the development community in regards to constructing 2-bedroom, 2-bath units, which seems to be a niche that is maybe underserved. And so in 1,000 square foot, it would not be possible based on the feedback we received. So that's why we proposed the 1,250. 1,250 for an attached unit would provide that same opportunity for an attached unit. But that's where it came from.
Go ahead, Supervisor.
Are there any other kind of unforeseen consequences or issues that kind of kept it limited to the 75% or 1,000 square feet?
Chair Scott, Supervisor Allen, no.
Supervisor Christie.
Yep, Mr. Jasowski, how do these modifications align with the city of Tucson?
Chair Scott, board members, because the city operates under a charter, I'm not 100% sure. The rules that were passed for cities were very similar. And so a lot of the things are similar. I don't have the cities memorized or know it offhand.
My point for questioning this, Mr. Chair, is, obviously we're not the city of Tucson, we're Pima County, and I think there's a differentiation in the desires for what is applicable for a urban environment in the city versus a more rural. So you're not certain about the alignment with the city of Tucson on these.
Chair Scott, Supervisor Christie, we've had numerous dialogues. The city operates in a more urban environment. So the hurdles that they're running into are more how these units fit on smaller properties. In the county, we have a lot more lower density, larger properties. So those type of constraints are not the same. We fall under more of their grading issues and HDZ and hillsides and things like that. And those are the things that are going to provide restrictions for ADUs that are developed in the county.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from board members? Mr. Jasowski, I had a quick question. What would be in terms of the input that we got that led to the distinction between detached and attached accessory dwelling units, what would be the ramifications of eliminating B and having everything in A apply to both attached and detached ADUs?
Chair Scott, board members, I don't think there would be any adverse impact. In our discussions with the development community, it was more about the detached units that I think, were most focused on. I think that's where they see the value in doing detached units. And being able to achieve the 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit was critical for them to meet the need that, our community has. And so allowing that and eliminating it and just applying the 1,250 across both types, staff doesn't see any adverse impacts on that.
All right, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christie.
I'm just curious, just throwing this out there. There's a lot of ancillary items that have come up at this meeting, additional items that were not included in the original agenda item. And I'm wondering if this is appropriate to be modifying all of these issues at the dais, and perhaps as a suggestion, this be continued and the issues that have been voiced by several of my colleagues might be worked out and then presented in a more formative fashion at the next meeting.
So the one caution I would have, and I'll ask staff to confirm this, is that when we
can't do it.
Yeah, I didn't think we could, and that was because, and I asked that question when I asked if we could continue the item from November 18th, because we split that meeting up because of the joint meeting with the city. And I asked, would there be a problem with continuing it to December 2nd? And staff said that would work in terms of the need to pass something to be in time to be in compliance with state law. But if we go to December 16th, then we're going to be running up against that. But to your other question, I want to pose that to Mr. Brown. The amendments that are being discussed here at the dais, I'm assuming you would have jumped in and told us to stop if that was not appropriate.
Chair Scott, that's correct. If the board would like to amend through motion and through vote, that's perfectly acceptable. There is a timing issue. There's another path that this would have to take if not approved today.
All right. Thank you, sir. Administrator Lusher, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, and simply, the state law requires that this be in effect by January 1st. Any action taken today, and we need 30 days for enactment. So today's the last day you can take that action. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right.
I do remember that at this time, and I think that historic meeting with the city of Tucson kind of muddled my memory. So thank you.
Very understandable, Supervisor. Thank you. All right. Let's move to a roll call vote on Supervisor Hines' motion. Go ahead, Ms. Manriquez.
Supervisor Allen?
Yes.
Supervisor Connell?
No.
Supervisor Christie?
No.
Supervisor Hines?
Yes.
Chair Scott?
Yes. Okay, the amendment is approved by a vote of 3-2 with Supervisors Cano and Christie opposed. All right, Supervisor Hines, you had a third
Yes, sir.
amendment. You're so far 2-0.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, my colleagues. So the third one is with regard to the side and rear setbacks. I understand that for folks that have very large, expansive plots of land out, in the maybe more rural or suburban areas, this is not the same issue. But in more compacted urban areas, I do think that we should revert to the 3-foot staff proposed setbacks instead of the 5-foot, just because that could certainly limit folks in a lot of parts of District 2 in terms of their ability to do these ADUs.
Supervisor Hines, what section is that?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Crap. I don't have that in my notes. It's the side and rear yard setbacks item 6.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And again, this was the 3-foot setback was originally proposed by staff. So I just would like us to go back to what they originally suggested.
All right.
And that's in the form of a motion.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Seconded by Supervisor Allen. Let's have some discussion on that, please. Supervisor Hines, anything you wanted to add to your motion?
Again, I think the 5-foot is just a bit too limiting in certain neighborhoods, especially in my district in terms of the lot sizes, in terms of adding these ADUs. So that's why I would like to remove this, I think, unnecessary restriction and go back to the staff recommendation of 3 feet instead of 5 feet. And I would happy to hear from staff if they wanted to comment on that, but it was their original recommendation. So I imagine they're okay with it.
And is this 6B or 6C? 6B, right? Go ahead, Administrator Lusher.
What you have before you keeps it at 3 feet. The memorandum dated November 10th and the memorandum from Mr. Poirier is where they proposed a variety of amendments. One of those amendments was changing the side and rear to 5 feet. So it's not necessarily delineated.
Was that not is that not the proposed text? It's only a proposed amendment?
It was a proposed amendment. The document you have before me, correct, and Tom is here to help me through this, that the resolution before you is at 3 feet. One, with the staff recommendations had 4 proposed recommendations. One of those proposed recommendations, or amendments, was to change the 3 feet to the 5 feet. If you don't adopt that and you simply move the ordinance before you, it keeps it at 3 feet.
My apologies. I thought this had been set to 5 feet,
Well,
and so I can just withdraw
This is
the
the
motion.
phone a friend a moment.
Okay.
Was what it's correct.
Chair Scott, board members, the county administrator is correct. Those are proposed amendments. That was one of 4 that were proposed by staff and after the Planning and Zoning Commission.
All right. Thank you.
And I withdraw my motion with my apologies.
That's okay, Supervisor. Thank you. There's a lot of moving pieces here. All right. Supervisor Cano.
I would just say that this particular ordinance was very difficult to track with the supporting documents. I think we have 2 different versions in the supporting materials. So I just want to make sure that we have a clean copy moving forward in the attachments as a separate link so that we can have a proactive discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Christie.
On the 3 to 5 foot issue of the setbacks, what was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Chair Scott, Supervisor Christie, 3 feet.
And Supervisor Hines wants to put it to 5.
No, I was confused by the amendment situation. I thought it was at 5, and I was asking to put it to 3, but it's at 3. So
that no action.
correct.
That's correct. Thank you, gentlemen. Any other questions or comments from board members? Supervisor Kano?
Chair Scott, just to clarify, this is for the entire ordinance now, right? As amended.
We haven't moved the entire ordinance yet.
Got it.
Just wanted to see if there were any other questions, comments, amendments. I had a question, and this came up from Mr. Reed, and I believe also Mr. Dolan, although I couldn't hear everything quite clearly from his telephone testimony. And it was also referenced in a letter to the Planning and Zoning Commission dated November 11th from Mr. Fiastro, Mr. Pugh, Mr. Reed, and 2 other members of the Catalina Foothills Association recommending that the county ordinance include a definition similar to or even identical to state statute with regard to restricted affordable dwelling unit. And that, when they quote the statute in their November 11th letter, it says means a dwelling unit that either through a deed restriction or a development agreement with the county is rented to households earning up to 80% of the area median income. Why was that not included, that statutory reference?
Chair Scott, board members, the reason staff wasn't supportive of that is that by putting it in our code, it could have other impacts with other changes that the county proposes. Once we have that definition living in our zoning code, it applies for any other time we get into affordable housing or any time restricted affordable dwelling unit comes up. And so because it's already clearly defined in state law, it still applies.
So you're saying that it might cause complications down the road, and that because there's a statutory reference and statute overrules local regulations, that it's not really even necessary to include it?
Chair Scott, that is correct. Unintended consequences maybe is the way I would phrase it.
Thank you.
In that we don't know what we don't know yet. And so because it's already articulated clearly in state law, it applies. And so anyone who does the restricted affordable unit will be required to meet that.
Okay. And then I wanted to also pose to you again some of the questions that are in that letter, and Mr. Reed made reference to them in his comments today. Who is responsible for ensuring that a renter's household income is 80% of the area median income?
Chair Scott, board members, as mentioned by the neighbors who spoke today, it's challenging because those are private agreements, private leases. Those are not articulated or not provided to the county. We don't regulate leases or rents. What we would regulate is if that third unit does come in and is restricted affordable, we will have to ensure through our permit process at Development Services that there is either a restricted covenant or a development agreement. In either of those scenarios, our staff is going to have to approve that before it's recorded. And so we will be involved in that aspect of the process.
So what I understand you to be saying is that we would be dealing with this on a case-by-case basis.
Chair Scott, I think that's a good way of saying it. We do have our enforcement team. We do respond to violations of guest houses that are rented. People who do short-term rentals outside of what's allowed by our code. So we do already have a vigorous enforcement group. And so I think this is something that would fall under their purview if we received complaints.
Okay. And then another question in that letter was, do we have a standard development agreement to be used with every restricted affordable unit? It doesn't sound like we do. And it sounds like this would be another case-by-case situation. Is that fair to say?
Chair Scott, that's correct. And I think most people are going to be doing the restricted covenants, which we'll be reviewing. We've had those in the past, and we do have those as part of rezonings and things like that.
Okay. And then I wanted to go back to a question that was referred to implicitly by Mr. Fiastro, and then I think posed directly by Supervisor Hines, which is, to what extent is this a placeholder ordinance where either your department or residents or the Planning and Zoning Commission or the board could say, look, we want to revisit this particular section?
Chair Scott, board members, this ordinance would be similar to any other ordinance. So we're going to live under our county codes and then state laws. Prop 207 is one of the items that would apply. So ensuring that any changes that if the county decides to make are in compliance with Prop 207, that's one of the major hurdles that we would have to maneuver should we decide to make any changes.
And just for everybody's benefit, little thumbnail synopsis of Prop 207, please.
Yeah, Prop 207 was a voter approved initiative back in 2005 to 7, which pretty much requires government entities to, if they're making a code more restrictive, there could be compensation. I'm not an expert on it, but that's generally what we live under.
Taking?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chair,
Supervisor Christie.
this issue of, you raised about the percentage of income that someone would have to qualify in order to be involved with of the affordable housing element. And it was brought up that is a very difficult issue to enforce, the enforceability of it. Mr. Jasinski, every kind of interaction that we've had on issues with District 4 residents, you've made it very clear that the DSD responds from a complaint basis. In other words, a neighbor is not happy with another neighbor and consequently files a complaint. Do you foresee that neighbors using this issue of affordability and the percentage required in order to qualify for this? How are you going to enforce that? And would we not be in a situation with neighbor accusing neighbor of situations, and it may not even have anything to do with the affordability issue as it might be in other areas, but using the affordability issue as a rationale to get at the neighbor?
Chair Scott, Supervisor Christie, how prevalent this becomes is unknown. In our discussions with the city, these restricted affordable units have not occurred. I would expect, following a similar pattern in the county, that there'll be less, because the only type of scenario we would probably see these is when it's a third unit on a property. So if someone has already constructed their first two, now they want to add a third, that would be the restricted affordable. And so there's going to be a lot of data inputs to determine whether or not someone builds that third unit, but it would be complaint based, like how we respond to complaints from constituents throughout the community for open storage, renting out a guest house, having parties at a house, things like that. It would fall under that category with our team.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Kano.
Chair Scott, I want to thank the Planning and Zoning Commission and our Development Services team, our county administration, for navigating a very complicated ordinance that ultimately Pima County has very little say on, because this is a state statute and a preemption that the legislature passed and that was signed into law. I say that because I also recognize the concerns from neighborhood residents in District 5 and throughout Pima County who are seeing the proliferation of ADUs transfer to short-term rentals and causing, hemorrhaging our ability to house people, because these properties stay vacant. They are, for many cases, not affordable. And we need to do something as a county to, within the ability that we have, which, as I want to reiterate, is limited, figure out a pathway forward about how we can ensure that Pima County residents have rights, that they have an enforcement process that they can trust in. But that discussion is really not the one before us today in this ordinance. And so I'm committed to continuing to work with neighborhood leaders to mirror what other municipalities throughout Arizona have done. I'm impressed with Prescott, but it's a city which operates under different authorities as well. And so I am supportive of the ordinance. And I'm also committed to continuing to figure out how neighbors and property owners who will absolutely see the impact of this ordinance have rights and have a process where they can ensure that their priorities are considered by our development services team and our county administration. Thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor. Unless there are any further comments or questions from supervisors, I'm going to move to close the public hearing and approve. Hold on just a second. Approve ordinance number 2025-27 as amended from the dais and as amended in the as noted in the county administrator's memorandum attached to this item dated November 10th.
I'll second. Can I ask a question though?
Of course.
Does
Go ahead,
that,
Supervisor.
so is that including the 5-foot setback?
It is, Supervisor. If you if you look at the item, the administrator's memo of November 10th is attached, and it says staff have worked with stakeholders in the Planning and Zoning Commission to develop the proposed zoning code text amendment. And it has the 4 bulleted items dealing with short-term rentals, side and rear yard setback, separation from main residence, and Pima County code regulations that still apply.
Okay, then I can't second because I don't approve of that amendment. Sorry.
So what I'm proposing is that the ordinance be adopted with the amendments that were made today by Supervisor Hines and the amendments that are noted in the county administrator's memo, which includes an attachment from Mr. Poirier.
I'll second.
All right, moved and seconded by Supervisor Cano. Discussion. All right, let's do it. We can do a roll call vote on approval of the ordinance as amended.
Supervisor Allen,
Yes.
Supervisor Connell,
Yes.
Supervisor Christie,
Yes.
Supervisor Hines,
Yes.
Chair Scott.
Yes. All right, ordinance is approved unanimously. Thanks everybody for their patience and for staying engaged with this process. We had some time certain items, however, because of the fact that we have another hearing with speakers who are both present and who are participating remotely. Before we go to those time certain items, and Mr. Brown, those are executive session items. We don't have any outside speakers coming in to talk to the board. Okay, so we're going to delay that, and we're going to go to item number 14, which is another hearing on a zoning code text amendment. We have 2 remote speakers, Steve Dolan and Vivian Hart. And as was previewed for us, so we also have an in-person speaker in Mr. Pugh. All right, Mr. Dolan, if you're still on the line, sir, you are recognized for 3 minutes. Do we have Mr.
Can you
Dolan?
hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Dolan.
Okay. I'll try and be more clear this time. Honorable Chair, Vice Chair, and Board of Supervisors, my name is Steve Dolan, who lives in the Tucson Mountains, and I am a 50-year Tucson resident. I'm speaking again for the Tucson Mountains Association as a TMA board member. TMA thanks Development Services staff again for contacting us about both proposed text amendments for accessory dwelling units and this subdivision approval. A brief email of TMA comments opposing the proposed subdivision approval as written are in item 14, first attachment of 20 pages. We just discussed the Pima County proposed ADU ordinance and standards that was a mandate by the state of Arizona in a recent bill. Another state bill allows but does not mandate subdivision approval by Development Services. Some residential plat approvals seem administrative only. The Board of Supervisors may want to be involved when subdivisions are proposed in sensitive environments or neighborhoods in their district. The board may not want to grant all subdivision approval to Development Services. Neighborhood organizations and residents affected by new subdivisions have limited opportunities for knowledge of or input to the plat process. There may not be any public hearings for a proposed residential subdivision. To improve communication, information, and transparency, TMA requests Development Services to create a monthly plat status report with, at a minimum, the subdivision name, physical location, supervisor district number, Pima Prosperous Special Area name, number, or NA for not applicable, and status important dates or review steps. The report would be available for all Pima County residents to inform them about a proposed subdivision that could affect them. A monthly plat status report would help inform the public and could help the Board of Supervisors decide what subdivisions they want to be involved in the final plat approval and assurances. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan. We also have participating telephonically Vivian Hart. Ms. Hart, if you are online, you have 3 minutes to address the Board of Supervisors.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead, Ms. Hart.
I'm Vivian Hart. I'm the Vice President of the Tucson Mountains Association. I live on the west side of the Tucson Mountains where there are actually a number of developments taking place. So today you are considering having Development Services approve final plats without any review by the Board of Supervisors. And as Steve Dolan said, state law allows counties to adopt such an ordinance, but they are not required to. In addition, these laws don't identify the type of subdivisions that Development Services could approve the final plats of, such as conservation subdivisions that are present in the Tucson Mountains. Now, I understand that approving final plats is currently pro forma and automatic for the Board of Supervisors, and this would be an easy item to eliminate from your agenda. So TMA would request or consider two things. First, resident parcels in the Tucson Mountains are predominantly low density. There are areas in the Tucson Mountains that are environmentally sensitive, where the Board of Supervisors may need to consider before approving final plat. Second, only when the final plat is on the agenda of the Board of Supervisors is there any notification to neighborhood associations or organizations like the Tucson Mountains Association. This allows us to make our opinions known to our elected officials, you. If Development Services approves final plats with no input at all from you, then neighborhood associations and organizations like the Tucson Mountains Association will have no notice. And the people making decisions in Development Services are unelected, and they have no direct constituency in the public as the supervisors do. That is why our board member, Steve Dolan, made that suggestion to you just now. So instead of D, that has been suggested by Development Services, TMA suggests that you insert the following. The Board of Supervisors may delegate some authority to Development Services for subdivision plat approval, but does not delegate all approval authority to Development Services, and reserves the right for final approval of all divisions and assurances when there are concerns about the impacts to county residents or environmental or other resources in sensitive areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. And my apologies to my colleagues and to staff. I neglected to ask if there was a staff presentation prior to hearing from our speakers. And Ms. Lesher informs me that Mr. Drzgowski did have a brief presentation to make. Go ahead, sir. And then we'll hear from Mr. Pugh.
Chair Scott, board members, this text amendment is to allow Development Services staff to administratively approve subdivision plats. Subdivision plats are
documents approved for standards. They're not discretionary approvals like rezonings, conditional uses, or variances. And subdivision plats are at the end of the process. And so this would allow our engineering staff to approve the plat, speeding up timeframes to getting the lots to, getting built on so that home builders can get homes constructed and sold, speeding up the timeframe. I'll keep it at that for my presentation, and then more than happy to answer any questions that the board has.
I think what we'll do is go to questions after we hear from Mr. Pugh. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Supervisors and head of the board, my own personal representative, Rex Scott. And good to see you, Ms. Lesher, today. I live at 5445 North Camino Escuela. I've been there for 52 years. I've been involved in my area's maintenance and preservation, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak here. Regarding item 14, I and the Catalina Foothills Association are not enthusiastic about removing the step of having it appear on the Board of Supervisors. We are more interested in as Mr. Tukowski earlier said, empowering the property owners in full transparency. And so we really would encourage you to urge the retaining the current requirements that the Board of Supervisors approve final plats or require a specific plan to be created for neighborhood notification, that we get the earliest possible information when that comes up, and that it not be the transparency reduced. And that's basically pretty simple point of view. I confirm with the people from the Tucson Mountain Association had to say in more detail. Thank you. Thank you all very much. And I just would like to make one other thing. It's sort of reassuring to see that the democracy still appears to be working at this level, and that you all seem to have open discussions, and appreciate the incredible staff of Pima County, Jan and her colleagues, and the people I've had a chance to work with, and all you in the back of the room. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pugh. That's very much appreciated. Questions or comments from board members? So I had a question, Mr. Drzgowski. Mr. Dolan proposed, I think, what he called a detailed monthly report. Is that something that staff is considering moving forward? Could you comment on whether you're planning on doing something similar to what he proposed, or if it would be some modified version of what he proposed? Just let us know what's going to be posted so that the public, especially people who represent organizations like CFA and TMA, can continue to be informed.
Chair Scott, board members, as the neighbors made aware, we interacted with their organizations numerous times in the lead up to this discussion. One of the things that came from Tucson Mountains Association and Catalina Foothills was their ability to effectuate positive change in the process. With a plat that's before the Board of Supervisors, it is the final piece. We have spent a year working with engineers, architects, drainage reports, and what you see before you at the end is the actual just final approval. So one of the things that came from our discussions, specifically with Catalina Foothills Group, is that they want to be involved as soon as they can in the process. So what our team developed over at Development Services is we've created a website that will show our tentative plats when they're coming in, and you'll be able to search those. You'll see it as a map, and it'll change as it goes through the process, so that Catalina Foothills and Tanque Verde Valley and the Southeast Regional Council, all of our organizations will be able to see the plats early in the process, where there can be a dialogue with the developer at that point before the final plat would be approved, where all of these
documents have already been finalized. And so that's what we've developed with Development Services, and we're prepared to share that with our neighborhood groups.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Allen, I'm sorry, were you seeking recognition right before I asked that question?
I mean, no, but you were sort of reading my mind telepathically. You knew I was going to get there. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
I did. I think I wanted to just say quickly, again, like the previous item, I appreciate the Development Services efforts to try to speed processes up, and that the county is not contributing to, or contributing less to building more affordable housing and getting development through the gate. And I think the question that I had was actually that question, because I think when we get the plats to approve, it does seem like there is there's a whole lot that has gone to arrive at that point, and very much interested in ensuring that neighborhood groups, community groups can get that information earlier, because at that point in the game, it is so late. And so it's all the ways in which we can inform neighborhoods, community groups early on, so that they can be engaged at the outset, where their engagement can have the greatest impact. So I appreciate the website, and if there's anything else that we can do that can ensure that neighborhood groups get the earliest flag of things that are happening in their area, would be appreciated. Thank you.
Chair Scott, board members, what I'll do is make sure I reach out to each of the organizations. I'll have them in my office. I'll walk them through it. Mr. Dolan comes by all the time. I'll kind of go through the process, kind of show them what we've developed and how they can visualize stuff.
Could we get that same breakdown that you're doing with the associations sent to each of the district offices?
Chair Scott, we can do that.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments from board members? Supervisor Christie.
No, I'm just prepared.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. In that case, I will move to close the public hearing and approve ordinance number 2025-30.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0. Before we do our time certain items, just because it's on the same page and it's under Development Services, there's a item number 15 that is in District 3. Supervisor Allen.
I would move the item
And close the public hearing.
and close that public hearing.
I'll second.
Unless there is anyone here to speak at the hearing.
Yes.
All right.
So the clerk is asking if you will move not only to close the public hearing, but approve ordinance number 2025-31.
I will in fact move to close the public hearing and to approve ordinance number 2025-31.
And I'll second. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that item passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Christie.
in the spirit of bundling, may I make a quick suggestion that we address items 24 through 33 together?
Supervisor, you are asking that we approve items 24 through 33.
Correct.
I do know that there is a presentation that we have for item number 27, the monthly financial update.
Well, excluding that.
Okay.
And
Go ahead, Supervisor Allen.
I would also want to exclude item 26.
Okay. Because there's an attorney who's here to answer questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's a little more complicated. And then I would just want to say a couple comments on 29 and 28.
And I would point out that 29 requires a unanimous vote of the board. So Supervisor Christie, could we do 24, 25, 30, 31, 32, and 33?
30, 31, 32, and 33. Yes.
Okay, and I'll second that. Discussion on approving those 6 items. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're going to come back to 26 for the reasons cited by Supervisor Allen. We're also going to come back to 27. I will go ahead and move item number 28, but Supervisor Allen had some comments she wanted to make. But would you second item number 28?
Second.
Okay, so item number 28 is moved and seconded. Supervisor Allen.
Well, this is something that this board cannot change ourselves, but it is something that I would urge that we direct our lobbyists to address. You know, the system for justices in more rural areas of the county, it doesn't work, right? This sort of pay system for the JPs. JP Precinct 3 will naturally have less cases than justices in the consolidated courts due to really big differences in population density. So, and more of a rural justices face challenges that the justices in the consolidated dense areas that just simply don't experience. So for example, at the Judge Williams in the Ajo court up until just recently had been affected by power outages and just recently got a generator as was approved by the board, a backup generator to ensure that they have electricity. Up until just recently, the Ajo court didn't have a telecommunications video capacity, despite the fact that, and again, that was thanks to then Supervisor Dr. Lee, I think in pushing that through and working with county staff to make that happen. But the JP3, it's a lot of the folks that that come to the court there are folks that are passing through Ajo. So having the video court is really essential for Judge Williams to be able to move through their caseload. You know, it's all that is to say, you know, like I said, the board doesn't, we can't change this policy about how judges are paid, but the system doesn't work and did not take into account the impact on rural courts. So I would love for our lobbyists to kind of add this to their agenda of something so that our courts have a much more level playing field and in their pay structure.
Consistent with that request, Administrator Lusher, would it be possible to get a report both from Mr. Rossi and either the presiding judge of Superior Court or the administrative office of the Supreme Court with regard to Supervisor Allen's questions about productivity credits?
Yes.
All right.
You asked, there's 2 parts of it. We're happy to follow up with Mr. Rossi on the legislative part. And I think it would be going to the administrative office of the court.
Okay.
It is the communication you get from them annually about the productivity credits, how they're established, how they're determined, et cetera. And it's another issue, as Supervisor Allen has pointed out, when that letter comes to the board has no flexibility.
Right.
You determine the salaries based on what those productivity credits have been. Happy to get a report back from the administrative office of the courts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would that satisfy your request, Supervisor Allen?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Right. All in favor of approving item number 28 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes 5-0. Let's go to item number 29. This item requires unanimous vote of approval for the board. It's donation of surplus property. I'll move the item.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. And Supervisor Allen has requested that we take up item number 21 because there is a representative from the Board of Health waving at us from in the audience. I did want to point out, however, Supervisor, that Mr. Brown told me that this might be an item that needs to be discussed in executive session.
I was just going to propose that too.
Okay, so I'm going to take up item number 21, but Mr. Brown, if you could address why this item might need to be discussed in executive session before discussed at the board.
Thank you, Chair Scott. Supervisors, there are some items related to this item that involve legal advice, and I believe that would be best conveyed to you all in executive session. So if we can recess for item 21 to have those discussions, I think we could come back and decide what to do at the back end of those discussions. But because we already have time set for noon executive session, it may make sense to do it when we go back.
All right.
To do all of those discussions at the same time.
Okay. What I'm going to do then is propose that we go into executive session to discuss the 3 items on the addendum, 1, 2, and 3, and also per the request of the county attorney's office, agenda item 21. Moved and seconded by Supervisor Hines. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so we are in executive session, and I would say that would be for like 45 to 60 minutes. All right.